Welcome to the Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Moon Harvest, Amish Earther, Naughty Thumbnails, Mitch Kennedy, Original D-Rose, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, J Mel's 24, Unimento, M, Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Golden McKinnon, Retro Bill, More Books, Fibre Oats, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Nealand, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Hamid, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, Tina Baker, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
This is
Or
what,
listen to. Go ahead.
well, no, you finished your verse 3.
No, I was just going to say that I was done. 1, 2, revert. Me and you have to make we have to think about. Okay, I'm on his side. I want, and that's where the facts and truth can.
Well, I'm going back to the first time I experienced this, right? When I was researching GMOs. And of course, you go in the comments section, and there's, comments on both sides of the fence. No, you're crazy. No, you're crazy, right? But then there's videos on both sides of the fence. No, and they're just like, what is going on? Because that was the first time I experienced something like that. And it's enough to cast like some doubt, right?
Yeah.
It's enough
Yes.
to cast doubt. And then you finally like really go in and sort through all that garbage, but it's more effort now. And then you finally do figure it out, and then you're like, oh, this is obvious. But you go to show everybody else this, and again, because there's doubt, it's how to convince everybody else of it too. And it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
And these anti-videos, once you see how bad they are for what they are. But before you don't see how bad they are, right?
Right. Right.
You
You
think
don't even
they
think
might
about
have
it.
valid arguments, but they don't. It's just garbage.
Garbage. And then you find out that it's garbage on just about everything in what you thought.
Yeah.
Morning, Nathan.
Morning.
Good morning. For some reason, I'm really hungry this morning. I'm just eating a pizza from yesterday. Not even heating it up. That's how you know you're hungry. But yeah, good morning, good morning. That's all right. He's probably not recording, so I can chew and talk. It used to be assumed recording. Now it's like, I'm not sure that's the case anymore.
I had
Yeah.
all sorts of things I wanted to cover today, and I just can't remember what any of them are.
I was just going to ask you the one you brought up yesterday. Oh, the nonsense. Well, basically, that was kind of the whole cover package, I guess. Feast of Nonsense. How to start getting rid of some of that.
Yeah, we've identified what we're dealing with. Now we need to somehow address it.
Exactly.
But, like everything we do, it all gets refined over time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so Feast of Nonsense.
Well, you can't get out of it because of just because, right? I mean, hell, they tricked us. And then you got every individual. Then you have every platform, and like I'm on board with you. You got to pin some of it down, where you just not everybody out here just talking nonsense.
Yeah, but lots of them are. So what I might do this week, if I can figure out how to do it, is go into a different server. So go into 24/7 Discord, because they're covering the same subject, and just have a little listen.
Yeah, that's what Craig and MC. A lot of them, they'll just jump in the room. They do their show right from the room.
What room?
Yeah, yeah.
What
They'll
room?
go into Earth Awakening. They'll go into any room that'll let them in.
Oh, okay.
Broad, yeah, and broadcast. You can do that live. Well, you probably know that. But
I've got Paul clearing things in the background because he's more familiar with those guys than I am. So Discord in general, this is it for me. This is what I use, and I haven't really given it much thought beyond that. I'm aware that there are obviously other Discord servers, but my purpose or practical application for Discord is to give a gateway to the public so that they can come in. But it has more to offer, right? I can go proactively into that server and see what's what.
oh yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to see you pop into Earth Awakenings. That's where Witsit hangs out.
Okay. Well, let's start with people who are on our side first, perceived or otherwise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 24/7, they're a great outfit.
So yeah, maybe I'll do that tomorrow. If I remember, I'll sign into a different server. The other thing I'm looking at doing is replacing G Plus with Element, so that I've got more control over audio levels for the panel. Disappointing, really, because this used to have audio levels. Now it doesn't. You have to pay for it. But there we go.
Hello, Nathan.
I
Hello.
still say hello.
Also, Paul's been sending me videos, which I'm yet to watch, on how to restream to different platforms. So potentially expanding out the reach. I just don't want to. I don't want to rush and just try and do it when I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm glad people know where to look or what I should be doing or where to begin looking. And I've got a starting point now, which I'm pleased about, because that's what all I want to achieve, baby steps each week. So this week I want to look at Discord server. That's what I wanted to do. If I can do that now. What I'm going to do is go back to an old show, and in the show I'm going to have a look at the chat, and I'm going to go through what I feel is appropriate moderation. There's not rules as such, but just here's what I would do if I was moderating this chat. Does that make sense? Yes,
You're
Nathan.
talking about
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yes, it does, and it's needed.
Well, there's a certain amount of infighting that occasionally occurs amongst the moderators, and if nothing else, I need it to be clear that
It's not infighting if people just mind their business. You give people wrenches for a reason. It can't be the way you want it. I don't ever question anybody typing anybody else out. I never even look.
whatever. What I'm saying is there's got to be a certain camaraderie if you're going to be one of my mods. Now, I've got to be careful what I say because everyone who is my moderator is doing it off their own back at their own, there's no perceived benefit other than them making my chat better. So I can't demand anything as such, but can't have various moderators perceived to be at each other's throats, because the people who are viewing, or the chat trolls, just immediately take advantage of that. Right, let's just pick a random video, pop out the chat. Perfect, this will do. How do I pop out the chat? Won't let me. Okay, let's just bring this across. Now I can't see, it's too small. I'm going to have to think about how I'm going to do this, obviously. Maybe with a particular chat for people to look at. Maybe I'll do it as a members only stream and then publish it if it goes well. Because if I just try and do it on the fly now, it's not going to go well. Maybe I can just talk about it and verbalize it. So, you're in the chat. There's a couple of things that I would do if somebody starts being rude to either the moderating team or the panel. And that is to, first and foremost, tell them that that's not acceptable. That's step one. Tell them. Don't attack the mods. Don't attack the panel. Attack the arguments. That's a fairly concise rendition of what Divergent Droid, for example, would do. That would be step one. Tell them, don't do that here. Yeah? Second thing you do is check who they are. Because if it's a troll account that's been set up that day or that week or even that month, then obviously you're going to have a slightly more lax attitude in terms of how you treat them. It's like, doesn't matter whether you like it, your stature on YouTube does affect how the moderators will treat you. If you've got no content, nothing but 35 comments listed on this channel and nothing else, then you're a troll. It's pretty obvious from looking at the channel. So you go to the channel and have a look and see if they're a brand new account that's just some 12-year-old kid that's got 25 phone accounts, or if they're potentially a content producer. So they've actually got 1,000 subscribers and 25 videos. In which case, okay, you're a real person, you're putting out real content. You're number one audience member that we want. Now, there's a good chance, because we all realise this, that people will come here with an attitude. Now, you've got to nip that in the bud, obviously, and give them a certain amount of warning in terms of what is expected from the chat. We don't expect it to be the pits. We do expect it to be reasonably civil. However, you've got to also take into account that people are going to be triggered when they arrive here and account for that. Yeah? That's the second thing. Check their account, give them a warning. If they continue, then time them out. If you keep telling somebody, don't do this, and they continue, and you time them out, well, I think you can, various mods have got various different abilities in terms of how they can time someone out. So they can time them out for a certain amount of time. You can remove them entirely from the channel. Now, I trust my mods. That is to say, it is at your discretion, talking to you, Neil, as your ear, what you do in that regard. Now, ban is a last resort. That is to say, you've checked the channel, they've got no activity, you've warned them, you've given them a 10-second timeout, you've given them a 5-minute timeout, and then they've come back under a different account with clearly the same person under a different account, right? If you choose to ban that person immediately and play whack-a-mole with the next 25 accounts, so be it. That's down to you. That's the essence of what I'd look at the personal level for the individual, the account name that's coming up. Next, it's what are they actually saying in terms of how much of an attitude, let's call it, that they've got, right? What's their positioning of their discussion? Are they just rinsing and repeating because they've lost to somebody who's in the chat? They've had their position put to them, they've responded, overcome it, and then they're just rinsing and repeating. Okay, so be it. You know, that is just unfortunately how it is. You're going to get that behavior on the panel as well as in the chat. That is how they are, and that is something you just have to tolerate. Now, if that frustrates you, so long as they're not personally attacking the other chat member that's just refuted them, or descending it into ad homs, at which point you take the same moderation status that you would if you're on the panel doing that. Again, same routine. Give them a warning. Tell them to only attack the argument. Rinsing and repeating is something you have to deal with. You know, if you're going to get into the wrangle dangle as a moderator, the best thing I can suggest at that point is that you do not moderate them. There are other moderators that are generally there. There's very rarely only one moderator in the chat, right? If you are that only moderator, just refrain from debating with people so you don't find yourself emotionally led to ban them because they can't stop rinsing and repeating. It's pissing you right off. Just don't debate them. If you're the only one there, that's just how it has to be, because you've got nobody else who can moderate your discussion with someone else. As I say, if you're the one actually engaging with them, don't be the one to ban them. If it reaches a point where they're ad homing you, then you've only got yourself to blame because you're the only moderator in there and you're distracted having a debate with someone rather than just keeping everyone else's debate in check, which is far easier from that point of view. Now, if there is two moderators in there, then obviously, and you start having at it with somebody, I'm not going to stop you because you're a mod, obviously. But, you know, don't be the person that's going to win the argument, lose the argument, time out and ban, because you're just then in an advantageous position to debate that person. And they can't, you know, they'll feel wronged when they start rinsing and repeating and get timed out. They'll come back on a different account and say, you see, you had to ban me, or something along those lines. If there's a second moderator there, they will do it for you if they start overstepping that line. They will be the one to give them a warning rather than you having to do it while you debate them. So, last point, if you're actually the only person there debating, just moderating, then try not to engage yourself in debates because you end up being the guy that's debating and modding and timing people out and banning them. Now, don't get me wrong, that is going to be occasionally the case, but try and avoid it. Now, these aren't rules. Like I say, everybody's got their own tactic when they come to trying to keep people under control in the chat, and it has to be kept under control, otherwise it descends into the pits. Now, several of my moderators have got in touch with me to say it is currently getting that way, it's getting worse, and alongside that you've got people who are backbiting each other that are mods on this for this show. It's like, well, that can't continue. When those sorts of things happen, I'll just have to remove moderation status from those people, temporary or otherwise, because it's just going to give fuel to the trolls when they see, I don't know, Neil bad-mouthing John. Whatever. They see that as some sort of victory that they can hold that over one or other than a moderator when they're there and try and get that as some leverage to show that the moderator's a poor person because they're siding with or not siding with someone that's got a feud internally. You know, that really can't happen. So, yeah, that's it. That's rather than going through actual chat, which I've got up. I've got FED 752, and I'm just looking at it now going, it's going to take me 2 hours to scroll through this to find some decent examples to say this is what I'd do in this circumstance. Because most of it's actually quite good. There's just very little bad behaviour in this particular chat. Maybe it's all been modded away. But in any event, those are the general sort of gist and guidelines that I would lay down to my moderators as the channel has, grown to the point where it's got enough viewers to warrant having moderation and having trusted people do it, but hopefully without falling out with that, or keeping it amongst themselves if they are falling out with each other, so they don't fuel the trolls to just use that against them. So that's that. I don't think there's any questions. Are there any of my mods here other than Neil, who's just vanished literally as I asked? Probably not. Righteous, you're a mod, right?
On Discord, on YouTube, I think I only moderated once because I was the only one there. But I
mean in YouTube.
I usually just.
This is specific to the YouTube chat.
Yeah, I'm not that active for that. I'm mostly I got my hands full with the Discord, right? So I usually leave that to the people that are active there and know what they're doing, right? For that side.
I'm very
I just
hands off
stick to
with
the
Discord, as you well know. It's like you run the Discord server, not me. I have almost no
Right.
involvement beyond just utilizing it for the public gateway. Now, I'm very grateful that it is a functional server because it's got so many people putting moderation talents to the good use that they are required in Discord, because I don't have those talents.
Right. It's what was I gonna say? I guess nothing. I guess thank you.
Well, no,
I'll say
I'm
that.
asking if you do any modding in YouTube specifically
No,
because
I wanted to mod the role for like if I need to post links or something. Sometimes you say, hey, can a moderator post a link? And sometimes as a Discord moderator, I might, if there's nobody there posting the Discord link, it's a good time for me to post a Discord link, right?
right.
So just that's all I wanted it for myself. Other than that, I will moderate if I'm the only one there. And I did once, and I thought I went a little too heavy-handed, and I'm like, oh, I timed him out, and I'm like, maybe I should have given him a few more warnings, right? So
At your discretion. So, I mean, I can't think of a time that I've ever turned around to a mod and gone, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Like, you know, it's your judgment
Yes, you
call.
did. You did it to me.
All right, what did I do?
Well, I was testing out how to do it, and you were in a heated debate video, and I timed them out. All their chat stuff was lost,
Yes, that's
and
a
you
good
yelled
point.
at me.
No, good reminder. So, I'm sure you're aware of this if you're a moderator of mine, but when you time someone out, all of their previous discussion disappears. Now, there's a good chance that if they've lost badly, they might want that to be the case. But if someone's just engaged in a 45-minute discussion in chat form, typing their little heart out to win an argument point, and then the person starts ad homming and ad homming and ad homming, you can just remove each comment. You don't have to time them out, you know, and they'll soon get bored. I assure you, I've done it myself. So you don't have to eradicate that entire discussion, because otherwise the person who's not been timed out has just got half a conversation in the replay of the chat.
Yeah, that was funny.
Not really. If it was me that was having that, if I was the person having that debate and you as the moderator then timed him out and everything that I've just said to him has just basically been cut in half because it's not responding to anybody, then yeah, that's going to frustrate the person that's having the discussion. So yeah, there's
No,
a point where you have to
I'm saying it was
gauge
funny
it.
because I just
Go on. It's funny because
it was funny because I just came in and I was a moderator and I didn't know how anything worked. I was just trying it out. And it just happened to be when you were in a heated debate.
yeah, and they're going to be the most heated and most therefore informative if you're going to read them back. So you have to kind of gauge that when you're deciding if you're going to time someone out or not. You know, it's much easier if they've just come in and they start attacking a panel member. Yeah, they're going to get warned. They're going to get timed out. Eventually, they're going to get banned if they persist. And if they've got no channel data to back them as a real, you know, participant in YouTube, therefore with this channel or others, then you're not going to have any guilt about that. On the other hand, if it's somebody that's got 1,000 subs, they've been hanging around the chat forever, they've lost their temper after losing a debate, and then they get timed out and all their information gets lost, or worse still, they get banned, well, then that person's just never going to come and chat again because they're banned. So bye-bye them forever. And it might not have been necessary if they've just lost their temper. People are still people at the end of the day. I'm more inclined to have empathy towards the individual that's lost his temper, who's a regular participant. That's why I say in the intro, right? You'll be warmly welcome back the next day. They can't be warmly welcome back if they've been banned from the chat because they've lost and then started ad homming it at nausea. Sometimes you want that to be left in the chat too, so people can see the reaction after the fact. So although in the moment you're like, well, you're ad homming the panel. Yeah, they are. Sometimes you want to see that. So again, it's at the discretion of the moderator in the moment. And if they're like, no, the guy's going absolutely nuts with ad homs, it doesn't matter that he spent 45 minutes debating with somebody, he's getting timed out. Fair enough. That's your call. I'm more concerned with the infighting, actually. The fact that some of the moderators will express their issues about the other moderator, because they're often videographers. Those are the people that know how to moderate better than anybody else. That's why a lot of my mods are videographers. They're doing YouTube as well. Well, that's not, that's deliberate. Well, that means that they've got the potential to start bad-mouthing each other on their own videos. And you're like, don't do that. Especially if they're one of my mods. If you choose to do that about Random Joe, then fine. But if they're both contributors to this show, then just that should be out of bounds as far as I'm concerned. And it does create a massive problem because it like I say, it spurs on the trolls.
Yeah, that's why I don't time anybody out anymore, because the comments are all gone. So
I'm not saying don't time them out either, Neil.
I try not to, especially when they have some really classic comebacks to our arguments that you want it left there. So I don't like timing them out. I wish there was a way you could do it and not lose all the comments. And did you check into how when you play the show back, there's no chat?
It's chat processing. So when I looked, there was chat. So if you go and check the show that you said there was no chat, you might find that it was just processing the chat when you went and looked because you'd just been chatting in it.
Okay. Well, sometimes it's 3 days after the show and there's still no chat up. So I don't know about that. I watched a video you put out a few days ago and there was no chat.
Hey again.
I watched a video that you put out 3 days ago and there was no chat. It's been that way for a while. So
On
that's
the
why I
second-
hate it when I miss the re-ups.
On the second channel, right?
I'm not sure.
Send me a link to the video in Skype personally, and I'll look into it. I didn't go into settings and check if there's something checked that shouldn't be, which is what I said I would do, and I haven't done that. But if you can send me the video on a private link, then, like I say, I'll have a look.
Okay.
That's mods. Feast and nonsense will get covered in the live show, I guess. Accounts as well. Just write these down. Hopefully you can keep the conversation going for a couple of minutes if I go and grab my notepad, Neil.
Okay. Who's in Discord? Righteous?
Hey, Neil.
Who else?
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. Good morning.
How's it going? How's
Everything's
things
all
when
right,
the show
man.
ends? When the show ends, right? And the after show is over. How are things getting along in Discord? Like, do they still wait till Nathan ends the show and the after show is done? Then they all come rolling in? Is it still the same?
Nah, there's not a lot of action lately. Not a lot of Globers.
Well, that's
Actually,
a
not much at
testament.
all.
That's a testament to our arguments. Well, not our arguments, but what we discuss here.
Every once in a while, they say something stupid, but that's about it. Literally a word or two, or a dumb meme or something like that. Definitely not a lot of action, man. I mean, what are they going to say? What can they say? What
They
what's
know
there to
they've
say?
lost. Sorry, I keep jumping on you. They know they've lost.
Yeah, man. There's literally no more argument, no more arguing, no more debates. There never was. Yeah, there's nothing to say, dude. I wish they would show up. I wish somebody would come to VC during or after the show. Most of the times we just
Think
chat
about
between
it.
ourselves.
Yeah, but think about it. It's like, remember when Mike Tyson was reigning and he was just knocking people out? People were afraid to fight him.
It's just Rumble and Restream I've got to do. That's what I've got on my notepad. Those aren't really things that I need to talk about on the show, though.
We are Iron Mike Tyson back in his heyday.
Okay.
Okay. How about the Rumble, Nathan? Did you think about Rumble signing up over there?
Yeah,
Because
that's what I've been
YouTube
talking
is.
about. That's what I've been doing with Paul this morning. So he's been sending me a whole bunch of information and videos to watch, along with links to download Restream software and a plugin to do it. I did go to the website for the plugin and have a quick read. I haven't downloaded it yet. I want to watch all the videos and get a really good handle on what I do before I start putting things on the computer. There's a good chance that the videos themselves will have their own links. They've verified themselves. Not that that makes it, a dead cert that they're going to be fine, but I don't know. I just want to know what I'm doing before I do it. So that's going to take a little bit of time. But my ambition was to start looking at it, and starting somewhere is good. So I've done that today. Like anything, it's a venture into the unknown, and you get comfortable doing the same thing as a part of a routine that you can keep up, even when things are stressful. So even when I'm very poor, a computer's breaking, a car's breaking, whatever, I can still do this. It's become routine. Now that isn't a bad thing, and it isn't necessarily a good thing either. But it means I can keep up with that. Well, once you get into that routine, it's difficult to break it. You sort of, well, I'm comfortable doing this. I know what I'm doing daily, and the exercise in my brain comes from whatever comes on a show that's undetermined. So that keeps it exciting enough for me to not need to make drastic changes to the show or the format or anything like that, because every day's a new day, right? You don't know what it's going to offer, and there's no plan to make it offer something. There's no expectations in that regard, which is nice as a videographer. However, expanding the reach of the show, and that being a two sort of fold thing, the internal expansion will, I've already discussed that. I might go to a different server to see what they are talking about. We've got this server and it's always going to be the public gateway. But it doesn't change the fact that I can go proactively to other servers and see what's up. Why not? It'll still be the same show, but it'll alter how the show comes across to the audience, because suddenly talking to a different group of Discord participants who might be critical in a different way or have different questions, or I might have different questions for them. So that's internal expansion, but then at the same time, it's how much reach can I garner from new audience members rather than new participants. So those are the two avenues that are going to be explored. Paul's helped me look at that this morning, or at least make a very sketchy start at the very least, by looking at a few of the video suggestions that he's given me. So that's what I'll do. And yeah, I'm in no rush. The fact that I do have a routine and I've got a dedicated audience and some of them support me financially, that's good enough for now. That's fine. It means that there is no rush. I don't have to do anything immediately. I can just do it at my leisure at the rate that I'm comfortable doing it, which is what I want. I don't want to suddenly be going, oh no, I'm going to stress about whether or not this is functioning correctly when it's brand spanking new. It's like, no, I want to ease my way into it, test it, get it all working, and then do it after knowing what I'm going to do before I've done it. And at the moment, I'm at stage 1 of 100 in terms of total ignorance in that regard. We'll see. It might take a week, might take a month, might have it done in an evening. You never know. Nice to be able to
Nathan,
go on.
you remember that movie, What About Bob, with Bill
No.
Murray?
No.
He was a hypochondriac, and Richard Dreyfuss was a psychiatrist, and the guy, Bill Murray, was the hypochondriac. So he was a nut job. The doctor, his own doctor, passed him off to Richard Dreyfuss, who was just putting out a book, and he's a successful psychiatrist and doctor. So he gets Bill Murray put on him, and he drives him nuts. But the key thing was he would do baby steps to everything, baby steps to the door, baby steps to open the door. He was a germophobic, but it was all about baby steps. So baby steps, Nathan, baby steps.
Yeah, indeed.
Very funny movie. You should watch it when you get a chance.
I look at it slightly differently. I do vaguely remember it, actually. I look at it, if you're going to learn to juggle, don't learn to juggle while you're already driving a crane. Concentrate on driving the crane. Now, if you have to learn to juggle whilst driving a crane, take your time. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Learn
analogy.
slowly. It's not like the show is an unwieldy crane, but in some respects it is. It is quite unwieldy. From a technical and an interaction standpoint.
Where is everybody? People, nobody in G Plus coming in?
I don't know, we don't need them. We're good. I'm knackered.
So nobody heard from the TKR lady after the Brian heard from her once.
You got
I
a
don't know if I
reply, that
told
was
you,
it.
Nick, like
That was all he got. She
I
didn't
got
respond after that.
a 3 different replies from her in my notifications, and each time she erased it. I did take a snapshot of it.
Oh, you
So
did?
like on 3 different occasions, yeah. She sent me to message her on Telegram, and with a couple of hearts and quotation marks. And I took a snapshot of it, so I have it. But she deleted her comments, and she did that 3 times. 3 separate occasions. She texted me back, messaged me on Telegram with the 2 hearts and quotation marks, and then she deleted her comment.
Very strange. Oh well.
Very strange, yeah.
Anything anyone wants to cover today? Mr. Tinfoil Hatman sending us stuff, but he hasn't actually said he's joining today to do anything. No? Okay then.
Sorry, you talking to me?
I'm asking if anybody's got anything that specifically that they want to cover. Like I say, I've got a whole string of Tinfoil Hatman observations that he's posted in Master B. I'll be joining tomorrow's show. Does that mean tomorrow? What does that mean? Was this yesterday he sent these? I don't know.
I would say Wednesday. He usually joins Wednesday, correct?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Just garnishing us with the information in advance by the looks of things. Today is today.
Well, it can just be a chit chat show.
I don't mind.
We could talk how Matthew Learns is a finalist for the Nobel Prize in Mathematics for figuring how to derive an elevation angle from a curved baseline.
Has he done that?
Yeah, he uses funny mathematics. He puts a grid over a circle and says, I'm using the grid to calculate the angle.
What?
You mean he's doing it 2D?
Hold on. If you're saying he's putting a grid over a sphere, you're saying he's got bent lines.
Yeah, I posted a picture of it in the main chat on Discord here.
Can you grab that and stick it in Master B for me, Righteous? Let's have a little look.
There's a good chance B will beat me to it. Give me a sec. All right. Maybe I'll beat him this time. Copy image. What? Looks like I gotta save it. Give me a sec.
No worries.
Yeah, Matthew Learns has been poking his head into the Politics 24/7 Flat Earther channel.
All right, B beat me to it. It
Okay.
figures.
What is the angle A? It's not an angle. Am I correct in identifying angle A as the point where A meets the curve? It's not an angle. Talking about. Anyone care to enlighten me? What angle? There is no angle at A.
Yeah, he's claiming that's how he can calculate the angle.
Not an angle. Calculate the angle? Oh, no. No, we need to measure an angle. That's how it's done in navigation. They measure an angle. People have been asking, what do you mean measured? Flat. Well, in this instance, we're not doing it on paper. We're doing it with respect to the surface of Earth. When we measure an angle off a flat plane, that's a measurement. Should bring this up on screen.
Well,
So,
isn't that what I was saying? He made it a grid, therefore it's a two-dimensional thing. So he's actually still doing it off a flat plane in a sense.
doing it with respect to the circle. With respect to this circle, he's saying that point A is an angle. No, it isn't. There you go. That's the easiest overcome I've ever been able to offer for anything ever. What is the angle A? The angle between the blue line and the red circle. It isn't an angle. An angle is two straight lines meeting at a vertex, not one straight line meeting a bent line. Every point along this curve will have a different quote-unquote angle because it's not a straight line. There is no angle. This is idiotic. Meanwhile, is that what they do? Sorry, is this from a celestial navigation manual? Is this what they do? Or they just measure an angle with respect to a horizontal baseline? Yeah, that's what they do. They measure it with respect to a horizontal baseline. Let's bring this back up on screen. This is a representation of a dingleberry Earth with respect to a flat plane that you'll measure angles on. The surface is this, not the globe. It's a flat plane, because that's how the angles to the stars for celestial navigation can only function. So what is he babbling on about? Seeking pain relief, that's all it is. Pathetic.
Good morning. Remember in the old shows, you used to
Hello,
do
what's
the intros?
happening?
Remember in the old shows? Oh, what?
You used to do the intros, and everybody would be talking, you know, in the chat, right? And then when you finish your intro, you would just turn the volume on them, and there'd be an ongoing conversation already.
Yes,
That
they were
used to be
very
the old
rude back
shows,
then.
Hello. How's the sound?
Well, that's also because what I used to do was mute the line, so that I didn't disturb an ongoing conversation if I was to start the live show. So back then, the schedule, although it was set, it wasn't known. So there's a good chance that a good discussion would start. I would mute my line in G Plus and mute my line in Discord, and then do the intro. So although the live audience gets to hear me do the intro, once I've finished, I then have to quickly unmute all those lines so that both can communicate with each other. So there's a good chance in those instances they don't hear me doing the intro, because if they did, it would kill the conversation, right? So then when I unmute those lines, you can hear that there's a conversation already ensuing. So it might be that they just don't know I'm actually starting the show at those points. In the last couple of years, 2-3 years, I haven't done that because it's never been necessary. But it may be a time that, a massive debate breaks out in the pre-show, and I do have to do that. I have to start the live show, and there's no way I'm going to stop them talking just so they can listen to me saying, please share the show, please e-beg, smash the share button, blah, blah, blah. And then everyone's had the conversation die down. So, there's a good chance it won't start back up again with the same fury that it was going in that pre-show. Hopefully that answers your question, Righteous. Elongated though it didn't need to be. You do some
Yeah,
housekeeping?
thanks.
You're keen? Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Well, they could, but they don't.
Because then they'd have to venture outside of their storytelling medium, which isn't in physical reality.
Well, outside of their entire category, like astronomy. They wouldn't be doing astronomy anymore, though, would they?
Right, but I mean, they could do something like with the lights in the sky as a phenomenon and all that, but they would have to they would have to break the illusion of the astrophysics. So they'd never do that. They could, but they won't.
I'd like to see someone vary the lights in the sky and not just putting your hands over your eyes and then off again. That wouldn't work.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure that was a Kumu virus, that one.
Well, supposedly that has happened, though. I mean, there's these papers. In one of my first hangouts on my channel was with Robert Shortman, and we even, like, there was a paper how apparently NASA or something like that was using lasers on stars to, like, amplify their brightness. It was really weird. But there was a paper and anything. It's still on my computer somewhere.
Yeah, but why would you take a single word that NASA have to say as credible?
No.
I mean, no, that wasn't it. That was an open question.
No, it's just a suggestion that, well, according to that paper, which might not be real or is real, it is suggested that there is something that is done to influence the celestial lights. Not as giant balls of gas in an insane distance, but just as the lights they are, and then doing something with that, with lasers.
Okay, NASA also claim that they've thrown or launched projectiles at the moon, and that it according to their documentation, resonated like a bell. That's what I'm just telling you what they say.
Yeah. They also said that's, yeah.
Okay. I mean, they also say
things.
They also say it's 250,000 miles away, or wherever they say it is.
Right. Well, with the stars, they specifically did not mention a distance. It's just fire a laser at the star. Something happens with the star observation. Like, what? But isn't that supposed to be super far away? Like, couldn't the laser obviously not reach that distance? They don't even mention it. It's just something they do.
Arwen, I have a $20 green laser that can touch the moon and every star in the sky. Just for information. $20 green laser. That's used for astronomy.
That's nice.
Yeah, they had one of those on the scope that I had before I sold it. The sighting laser, you mean like a crude version of the scope, so you can sight roughly where you want to look in the sky before you actually start focusing through the eyepiece. Is that what you're talking about? Little laser?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like a pen size.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not that big a deal. But out of this conversation, the only bit that was of relevance was what Paul said, which is to say, if you're going to cause the stars' appearance in the sky, now that happens regularly at night time, but that's not to say that you can't vary and manipulate something to induce the effects of what we call stars, either by their current understood positioning but in the day sky. That is to say, making them appear where they didn't before, or replicating what we describe as a star, just not familiar, as in it's not part of a constellation that we're aware of, it's just appearing in the daytime. It's just a quasi-star. It looks like what we would call a star, but we've generated it ourselves through variation of X. We've varied X, and the result was the effect of what we know to be stars, but we've created it. In other words, it's our manifestation by way of varying and manipulating a presumed cause of stars. Alternatively, varying and manipulating something which you think will cause the stars we all know and love, and then you induce them to appear in the day sky, for example, by whatever means. You know, I don't know what you would do to achieve that, but it's certainly a possibility. It's a phenomena. There's plenty of phenomena with regards to the night sky that in reality we have no explanation for. But yet we've got lots and lots and lots and lots of explanations for them, haven't we? We're all discussing them. Which brings me nicely on, although we've only done one housekeeping question, the Feast of Nonsense. So in terms of the pre-show discussion of what we covered today, there's no video to cover as such unless somebody digs one out and wants us to cover it. Is exactly that. This is part of the Feast of Nonsense. Rather than you coming along to this subject, now, my take on this is slightly different because I was interested in the stars, in fact, fascinated with them. I had a telescope. I was looking at them all the time. My folks lived in a part of the country that had the lowest light pollution anywhere. So it was absolutely outstanding for stargazing, which I did a lot of. Great. I was obsessed with it. I was subscribed to science at NASA and, still am actually. But there we go. I was a keen heliocentrist that had a good idea of orbital motions and gravity and all of the rhetoric in terms of Earth being a sphere. So for me to come to this subject and then start looking at Feast of Nonsense topics as they unpack and unravel what is in essence heliocentric rhetoric as a flat earther, it wasn't that unfamiliar to me, but for somebody else it would be. Suddenly they've got to learn what the heliocentric model postulates so that they can overcome it. To what? To be a flat earther. I can't remember who put this under my nose recently, but I think it might have been Paul again, that said that he was offered up a sort of questionnaire or a standardized form that would show how knowledgeable he was in terms of heliocentric rhetoric to get some sort of badge of honor in a Discord server or something along those lines. Can you just jog my memory, Paul?
Yeah, it's pretty much they wanted you, or at least his opinion was, the guy I was talking to, that you needed to know all of the rhetoric, the insides and the outs of it, to debunk it. And I was saying to him at the time, well, you just need elevation angles. But I'm not sure I was explaining myself properly, or maybe he just wasn't familiar with our arguments. But he wanted me to do a David Weiss presentation whenever I spoke to a new Glober person, and I just don't agree with that tact.
No, I don't either. And it's with hindsight, so this is from experience. And your attitude is the correct one. What do I need as a flat earther? What is my overarching ambition if I'm communicating this to another person? Well, it's to demonstrate admirably that Earth is in fact flat. Now, in order to do that, you do not need to understand anything about the heliocentric rhetoric. Likewise, you don't need to know anything. Let's juxtapose it with something that it isn't claimed to be commonly, as opposed to something that it is. So, if someone came to you and asked you about your flat Earth belief, and they happened to be a concave earther, would you feel it was upon you to go out of your way to research the ins and outs, no pun intended, of concave Earth so that you could postulate your knowledge about how Earth is measured flat? Now, in that scenario, most people would clearly identify the fact that you don't need to undo a yet to be affirmed positive claim that your opponent has about Earth being concave in order to assert that it's measured flat. Now, you may listen to their claims of concavity with Earth. Is that the right word? Concavity? Or not. And based on what they present to you, you may choose to pull it apart at its seams based on the rhetoric that you've been offered by your claimant who's in front of you. Or not. Now, if what you claim in the positive assertion of Earth being flat and measured that way automatically overcomes a concave Earth, then what purpose do you have in learning the rhetoric to point out how I don't know, the stars inside a concave Earth don't match with what we observe from the ground that's measured flat, when simply pointing out that it's measured flat automatically overcomes any concave rhetoric? Because Earth wouldn't be measured flat if it was concave.
Have you seen their documentary, The Rectilineator, or whatever it's called?
The Rectilineator. Yes.
Yeah. They measure how concave a beach is while referencing sea level the whole way through.
Yeah, indeed. I forgot about that. That's a good point. Oh, the Rectilineator. Nothing like
I
having a
posted a couple
tool
of
for proving
videos.
Earth's
We
flat.
can either choose between David Weiss or Eddie Bravo. I'm not sure who would like to do either, but the only other stuff is like plan a walk type stuff, and I don't think we should give him any airtime.
How do you mean? What choice are you postulate? I don't understand. I'm lost now.
So videos for review, Nathan.
I see. Oh, okay. No, I don't mind either.
David Weiss doing his normal routine. That's 3 weeks ago, so that's a modern one, contemporary one. Or there's Eddie Bravo just having a chat about. But I haven't watched either because I hadn't had a chance. But
Tempting. Both. Which is the lesser of two evils? Maybe the chat will let us know. Got a Eddie Bravo chit chat or a Dave Weiss current rhetoric. Now, as we're talking feasts and nonsense, it does kind of make sense to cover Dave Weiss. Because I am in no doubt whatsoever that there'll be plenty of feasts and nonsense stuff in there that we can pull apart and point out at every step of the way.
I timestamped that one because they talk about a lot of it's just conversational, and I think he's starting his presentation at the timestamp I put in there. Because there's like 3 minutes of chit chat about the last 3 years and stuff. So, or 4 years now. I meant to look this morning, but we had a back office conversation on Element with whereas me, Michael, Neil, and Paula, and we were chatting about the ideas for the show and the stuff we've been talking about in the new chat you made on Skype. And that was a really good conversation, actually.
Is this guy the host? And if I share this is actually Adrian's channel, right? So I will be promoting the right person.
Yeah, I picked that one because it was in Dave's show notes.
Oh, okay. So this is where Dave has directed you for the original. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Excellent. So I assume this is the videographer then. This is Adrian, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Excellent. Okay. As always, let this chap know that we have responded to his video. And in this instance, as always, the link to his video is going by in the chat. So it's Adrian DeMarco, D''A''M''I''C''O. I think I've said that right. So yeah, please let him know, as always, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, and just point him in the direction of whatever the chat is going to be, future tense, that we have about this particular discussion. I'm doing it cold. How long we spend on it, I don't know. But yeah, we're going to be generally alluding to feast of nonsense garbage that could easily be overcome or not even be necessary if you were just to point out that Earth's measured flat. So that will be the general gist of the direction that I'm hoping to take this video. And knowing Dave Weiss and what he does, I'm pretty sure there'll be plenty for us to get our teeth into. Hopefully, that's given enough people in the chat enough time to go and maybe give this guy a sub. He's not got a great big massive channel, which is a shame. As always, give him the YouTube love that we so desperately would like to get from YouTube, but do not, by leaving him a comment, leaving him a like, telling him you're subscribed if you like his other stuff. And just, helping him along in the YouTube algorithm, like we would hope to get helped along, were any of the people that we do video responses to respond to what we have done. I hope that they would put the link to our video in theirs, so that we receive the, as I say, YouTube algorithmic love that we are deprived of as flat earthers. Or at least flat earthers that aren't covering our Earth isn't flat when you search for flat Earth. I think that's enough time, call to action-wise, to get people there and leaving a comment and coming back. Are there any comments about this before we actually kick off? I haven't actually sound checked this, so I need to do that in a second as well. No?
I don't know what it's about.
Standard presentation. Sorry, Alan.
I'm just saying I don't know what this is about. What are they talking about?
We're going to find out.
Sorry. We laughed at it when we first heard about it. Then when someone told us about it again, we ridiculed them. We refused to look at any evidence. We became emotionally upset.
Right, straight off the bat. So our feelings and emotions and general disposition towards this subject matter should not be relevant. Right, straight off the bat, Earth's measured flat. Get over your feelings. Don't worry about how your family will respond to facts about how Earth's measured. It's measured flat. Should we do a little counter? Well, I haven't got the technical prowess to do this live, but a little ka-ting! One. This would have been a better place to say Earth's measured flat, rather than getting into the social aspects of it.
And then when we finally,
sorry, Alan. Go ahead.
Or a car going, you. Good work.
That's an in-joke, though. I mean, if that's fine. Yes, you're right. Yeah, that's exactly what we would do. So, as an in-joke, we have a metaphor that describes the long, arduous road through the terribly cobbled path that is flat Earth. That's generally a path that's got a lot of feast and nonsense along the way, a lot of trolls under bridges, and all sorts of horrible nonsense that you've got to negotiate. And it takes a very, very, very long time. Now, while we were negotiating that terribly cobbled path, people around us were constructing a giant highway, right? Route 90. Now, Route 90 is essentially a highway that diverts you off all of that garbage and straight to the fact that Earth's measured flat. How are we actually traversing the surface? How are we making our maps? How are we utilizing the maps that we have made? Well, they all use a flat Earth. They're all an expansion from the original concepts of latitude and longitude derived off a flat plane by use of the angle measurements of a flat plane to the stars, developing a grid system that can then be wrapped around a sphere, but for the lines, originally flat, measured flat, utilized flat, to work wrapped around a sphere because you can still reference them to the flat plane elevation angle measurements that you will be using them with. So you can infer Earth's a sphere with the flat Earth measurements that started off the process. So let's just make that clear from the off. Any more, or I'll start the video again.
Oh, that makes sense. I mean, you definitely have to measure it flat in order to claim it's a sphere.
Indeed. And as an opponent would be in the wrangle-dangle down below in the cobbled path that is flat Earth, regurgitating how people's feelings are about the subject matter and how they react badly to it, there's a guy in a Lamborghini on Route 90 driving past going, "You're going to need a flat Earth for that!" out of his window with his V10 wailing, getting to the end point of flat Earth without any need for this. Earth's measured flat. What more do you need? Answer, you don't.
He said, all right, I'm going to disprove this. That's not a good way to go find the information. You say, I'm going to go find the truth. Like you said before the show, I really hope the Earth is flat.
I do.
Well, you hope to find the truth. That's what you really hope.
That's
okay. True. And yeah. So, and then we all try to debunk flat Earth, and that's how we become flat earthers, because flat earthers know more about the globe model than the globalists.
So I'm going to approach this from the stance that I can debunk it, and we know a lot about the globe. Okay, you don't need to know anything about the globe if you know Earth's measured flat, because then you know it's measured flat, and the globe may be a derivation of that measurement that you've proven Earth is measured with. In this case, elevation angle measurements to the stars to derive all the maps and models that are claimed to be spherical. With a grid system that's derived from a flat plane elevation angle measurement, the equator derived from a flat plane elevation angle measurement, the circles of equal elevation that you will use when navigating that system will be measured and plotted on flat maps using a flat baseline that references surface level. That's a flat Earth in every single respect. That's why all the maps are flat. That's how it works. So none of this is relevant at all. How much you know about the globe is just mental masturbation to show that you know what? How well you've taken on board the feast of nonsense? Is that it? Is that what we're doing? Showing people that we can understand how the globe doesn't work? It doesn't work because Earth's measured flat.
Nathan.
Yes.
There may have been a time for that when you first stumble across it, but not in 2023. There's too much information out there.
Well, we're hoping to add to that, because at the moment this is the information. This is if you're completely cold and you come to the subject matter to this guy's channel, who's probably not covering this because he's saying, "I wish the world was flat," which means that's indicative of somebody that's new to the subject, and then therefore, if he's got an established channel, which it seems like he has, he's going to be covering other stuff. So he's got audience members that are completely green to the subject, and the first thing they're hearing is you need to learn about advanced heliocentrism, and you need to look at how to debunk flat Earth. That's how everybody does it. That's what we've got so far.
Right? Because if you knew 1/10 of what we know about the globe, you'd be a flat earther.
Sorry, why would it figure to anybody with a rational brain, in my scenario with concave earthers, that the opponent who offers up his concave earth claim, that you knowing 10 times more than he does about concave earth makes you a flat earther. It makes no logical sense to say this. It makes no sense at all. To be a flat earther, you need to know Earth's measured flat. That's all you need to know. Yeah, and I'm going to keep stamping this out throughout this entire critique. Any comments before I press play again?
Well, technically, you can debunk the globe better if you just know it. And that's kind of what he's trying to say. I mean, it doesn't prove the Earth is flat, but it does help you in discussions about it.
But it's not needed now, are we?
No. Well, why? No, this is part of the feast of nonsense. I'm glad you've said that because it means I can argue against it. No, that's a burden of proof reversal fallacies we have to point out on a daily basis. If you're going to assert that the Earth's a sphere, regardless if you already know it because you're a fundamentalist religious zealot from birth and you didn't know it, therefore you already know Earth's a sphere by your arrogant standpoint, and who are you to tell me it isn't? Well, someone who knows it's measured flat. All right, well, what about orbital mechanics? Well, you go through your orbital mechanic claim as you are the one who is standing on that hill. Now, we'll see how long you last on that hill when you make your claim about your globe you think you are on. Now, where Arwin is correct is knowing how their claim falls apart is something that you can overcome. But wasn't it already overcome when you pointed out Earth was measured flat? And you could, you don't have to, point out how Earth being measured flat is required for orbital mechanics. You could do that, but it's ultimately their burden with their claim of their faith in their sphere that you don't need to necessarily know anything about in order to overcome, because you know it's measured flat.
That is still incorrect, though. I mean, you're right, technically, but the problem is if you don't know exactly what it is that they're doing by knowing it, right, then, yeah, you can know the Earth is flat because it's measured flat, but still, you'll not really be, like, putting down much of a conversation. You won't be really stamping out the points as well because you haven't mastered them as well.
This is Dave Weiss appealing to a newbie audience in terms of what their path on flat Earth should be and how it may pad out for them based on his experience. And based on his experience, the path is understanding 10 times more about heliocentrism than a heliocentrist and debunking flat Earth as a starting point. That's what we've got so far, Arwin. What do you want me? Do you want me to change the words he's used?
No, but I mean, it does start like that. I mean, all the flat earthers start like that, kind of.
Yeah, that's
like,
what we're stamping out. You weren't here for the pre-show.
Today.
Yeah, okay, well, you weren't here for the
Today you don't
pre-show.
have to.
That's the point of today's show. Right, we want to point out where, as you get indoctrinated into the belief of a flat Earth, you'll find yourself indoctrinated with a position that leads you to only overcome the opponent's argument. So that when you're arguing as a flat earther, rather than proving Earth's flat, you're demonstrating how well you can deal with globe earthers' claims so that you're undoing their claim while they're positively promoting their claim. That will probably need, in fact, certainly need, a flat Earth to claim. Well,
sure.
I don't think that should be how people should start their route into flat Earth. Start it with an absolute cast iron fact that it's being measured flat, navigated flat, built on flat. If you know that it's flat, then how much you choose to learn about heliocentrism, you might decide to entirely turn your back on it. And when someone comes along with their obvious globe Earth belief that they want to push on you, you just go, I don't want it. I don't believe in that nonsense. Well, what about orbital? Go away. I don't care. You believe in orbits. Okay. Bye-bye. Because you don't care anymore. Why? Well, because you know it's measured flat and you've been wasted enough of your goddamn time on
if somebody
heliocentrism.
Bring up orbits, you could just say, but yeah, those orbits are calculated based off a flat plane.
Could.
Like
my point is you don't need to. And if you understand from the off that it is your burden if you're a globe head and they're trying to convert you if you already know it's measured flat, suddenly your mentality is very different. You don't feel the need or an obligation to learn 10 times more heliocentrism than your opponent. You don't feel obliged to do that.
Yeah, this information wasn't available when I first came to the subject.
No, that's what I've been thinking. That not took the words out of my mouth, but took the sentiment out of my mouth, Neil. For the last couple of weeks, I've been thinking, where am I in flat Earth? Well, slightly miserable because the people around me aren't well versed in the subject. And what do I mean by that? I mean, well, they've got a belief in flat Earth, and it's perpetuated throughout the realm that I inhabit. Well, that disappoints me, if nothing else. Well, okay, what can I do about it? Well, I can point out that which I did not have when I arrived here. Stone cold, silver bullet, whatever you want to call it, flat Earth proof. Speak to Morgile when he went on and chatted or debated or shouted down, to be more accurate, by Upside Down Ed Head or whatever he was called, and Tim Osman, and one other dude whose name I can't remember. And during that show, he had offered himself up, his time, his effort, as Brian and maybe listening would be going, well, I wouldn't be doing that unless I was getting paid. Well, back in the day, all Morgile did was go through his exemplary understanding of how heliocentrism fails. And all they kept doing is shutting him down and going, prove flat Earth, prove flat Earth, prove flat Earth. And he was like, well, I'm here to show you how heliocentrism doesn't work. Why? Well, because that's the path we all took. Now, the path we all took isn't the best one. Doesn't matter that that's our path. It's Dave Weiss's path. It's my path. It's Arwin's path. Now, to a certain extent, the only exception on this panel is Paul, who exemplified that earlier with his, why do I need to know all the debunkings for heliocentrism when I know it's measured flat? I don't feel like I need this. Why do I have to have a badge of honor, or how qualified I am in heliocentric debunking to be called a flat earther in this server? Or you don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had the privilege of joining around July 2022, so I haven't had all of the early stuff, which I think people get caught up with. Maybe they're even nostalgic for it, you know, the wrangle-dangle.
Yeah, because when you were joining, I was expressing the idea that it was embarrassing to the point of my own enjoyment, my own ignorance when getting into what you just called the wrangle-dangle. That's the cobbled path or whatever analogy. The discussion where you're telling a globe earther that you understand how a motion in the sky wouldn't work on a globe. You know, all those sorts of things, right? That wrangle-dangle is quickly overcome when refracted curvature steps into the forum and says, your description starts with a flat plane. And suddenly you go, oh, well, that was all surplus to requirements. If only we'd started there, I wouldn't be in this 45-minute wrangle-dangle that only serves the globe, because every audience member's just hearing about how globe Earth motions do or don't work. Where's the opposition? Where's the actual flat Earth proof that stands alone? Well, there isn't one. That's not what Dave's peddling right now in this particular video. He's telling you about his path. Well, the path we took was crap, and it was paved by the opponents so that we lost at every single opportunity. Do I want to recommend that path to anybody? No, hell no, I don't. No, I know better now. Why would I recommend that path to anybody? Hey, Brian.
Exactly, Nathan. Exactly.
So we've got a better path to offer, and we need to start offering it.
That's how stupid it is. And one thing of like, and I went
Brian.
into, you know, the big
all the time. And I know he loves me. So it's just like, he doesn't come at me like I'm some sort of idiot. But I just say to him, it's mostly flat. You know, when I look around, and I've been up in the sky high enough to know that when I'm looking to the horizon, and when I look and I travel many distances, like thousands of miles, I've traveled around the world, and it mostly is level. And so just from a very...
It mostly is level. No, it's navigated level. And if you're on a plane, you could give a practical example of the sextant that they all carry around with them that references parallel to the ground elevation angle that requires Earth to be flat in order for it to function, as do the charts and maps that they're all using. So that example of it, what quantified by what seems level, quantified by how it's functionally useful in the respect to the horizon, they can establish a horizontal plane of reference using the horizon. The only correction being dip, that if you were in a plane and referencing this example, they'd be using a bubble sextant. There'd be no dip correction. But even if you were on a deck of a ship using a mariner's sextant, you correct to the surface level, flat, so you've got a horizontal plane of reference to get your angle from. That's a flat Earth that's being used. It's measured flat. Again, this guy hasn't got that as a starting point. He's presumably had a discussion with Dave up until this point. And in his, all right, we've had a little chat. You say it's flat. Now I understand. Every trip I took was requiring Earth to be flat for me to get around on it, for the maps to be in existence, for the grid system to be developed from flat Earth angles to the stars. All of those things are prerequisites for Earth being flat, for it to function. Can't get any better proof than that. This guy just, what, I've flown around and it looks flat? Yeah, that was my standard too when I got here. Yeah, when Math Powerland pointed out that Earth's flat to me, and I went, oh my God, yeah, it was so flat when I went to the back of the window of that aeroplane when I was a rep. That was my standard. Shouldn't be that way in, what, 2024 almost? It shouldn't be this way.
Layman perspective, I just think, yeah, you know what? It is mostly level. I come from a building background. My dad's a builder. My brother's in construction.
Go ahead. Neil, go ahead. Maybe not.
Whenever you would find a level on a construction site, old builders, like I'm 45, so back when I was doing my apprenticeship, they would get a hose, a clear hose with water, and they would fill
water level
with water and find the level of the block, and then that would be their level. They didn't have a laser or, you know, those sorts of things back in those days. They would use water. So again, like, water always finds its level. So I know you're going to go through amongst the things, but that's my.
You're absolutely right. All construction is done on planar surveying. There's no curvature factored in bridges, tunnels, buildings, cities. There's no curvature at all. And you know, when you look at airplanes and the spy plane that goes, you know, 2,300 miles per hour, that thing would have to nosedive down 80 stories every second just to follow the curve of the Earth. Right? That would put the pilot against the ceiling.
What? Did you just phrase it like this spy plane? So what I'm hearing is Dave describing something following the curve of the Earth now. Is that just me? That's how it sounded.
No, it's just saying, look, it can't be a globe because this is what it's like on a globe.
So why is he doing that?
Yeah.
Why is he doing that?
Because that's
You didn't do it wrong there. No, he said it would have to be doing something impossible, i.e. descending an 8-story building every second for that to be. He's not describing the globe there. He's describing how ridiculous flight would be if it was a globe. That's what I heard.
Ceiling, if that was going on.
Wow.
So when you actually look into this, and it's a, you know, at the beginning you were saying something about you're not qualified, you're not you know, you need to find the experts. Sometimes the experts are the most indoctrinated. The teachers are not lying. They're the ones that memorize and regurgitate the best.
Yeah, true.
It's people that think outside the box that get kicked out of the school.
Oh, and he immediately ruins it. So it's all about whether or not you can think outside the box. It's about your ability to comprehend. No. Just prove it's flat with a measurement of it being flat. That's all you've got to do. Then your query about whether or not there's a nefarious intent to the indoctrinated teachers or not becomes moot. Makes no difference.
Right, people that look for the real, for reality. You know, this is reality right here. This is a balloon, 120,000 feet. The Earth is not spinning out from underneath it. You know, this balloon's up there.
Yeah, again, straight to what the Earth isn't doing. So again, we're left with this idea that the hook in what he's describing, even if it's not spinning away from it, is the inference of the spin of the positive claim. All you're left with is that notion. It's like telling a child, don't do, and then naming specifically the thing you don't want them to do. Don't pick up that fork and jam it in the electrical socket. Well, suddenly a little light bulb goes over the kid's head and they go, oh, I could be jamming this in the electrical socket. Hadn't thought of that. Yeah, that's how it's planted in your mind unnecessarily. So again, it's the way we've all trod the path. The path is to say how the globe wouldn't work instinctually. Straight to how a globe would be spinning away from you underneath this. Not necessary. You don't have to leave the audience with the notions of the claim of the globe and how it doesn't work, because ultimately that still leaves them with the claim of the globe. It's like fighting within the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking earth curve calculator. You're stuck in this prison where you're always going to lose because you're always postulating your opponent's position and fighting against it. Well, all the audience hears is that position. That's the main predominant feature of this discussion. How spherical it is or isn't is still a discussion on the sphericity of Earth.
There for 3.5 hours, it should land 3,000 miles to the west, but it doesn't. It lands right near where it took off, sometimes to the east. Wait a minute, if the Earth is spinning, it would have to go up and outrun the Earth and then land in front of it, which is ridiculous.
So this leaves the door open for the listener to go, why is that not the case? He says it should spin underneath. Why isn't it spinning underneath then? Because that's what should happen. You see what I mean? Your brain leads you to, my path in this discussion should be to, if I want it to be a globe, go and debunk why the flat earther says Earth should turn underneath the hot air balloon. That's Coriolis effect. But doesn't, according to him. So that's the route you'll take. Alternatively, go and learn why the flat earther says that it shouldn't turn underneath or isn't turning underneath, because they've proved that it's not turning underneath with X. What? We've got to now forage around for the proof of non-existence of Earth turn when you're not supposed to be positively claiming it is turning. Leave it to them to claim it's turning. You know, it's stationary. Balloon goes up, comes back down. Earth not moving. Why are we doing this? There's no need to prove non-existence of Earth turn.
Well, they're doing it so that people that are watching that can think like, hey, wait, so it's not spinning. How does that work? And then they find a video of Wolfie telling them, no, we correct for Coriolis deviation. That's why it doesn't deviate. As long as nobody addresses that, right? If you're going to go into it, then yeah, it's open-ended. It's just like, oh, he just doesn't understand. He doesn't know.
Yeah, maybe in 2017, not in 2024. Come on.
What I'm saying is the open-ended point for the audience to go away from this discussion with shouldn't be, how do I enforce the claim that the globe isn't turning underneath, as the flat earther says, or affirm that it doesn't demonstrate that effect that the flat earther said it should affect because it's not supposed to exhibit that effect, and we're therefore still on a globe. Either route takes you to where Dave suggests that he's got 10 times more knowledge of heliocentrism. Yeah, you have, because the path that you've trodden leads you to start as a flat earther with a claim that the positive assertion isn't being made for, Earth's turning in this instance, and how you should overcome a claim that hasn't been made yet. You know, the obligation isn't on us to do this anymore. We've progressed beyond this. It's our opponent's job from this point forth to start ponying up their globe proof, not for us to start asserting, if I'm on a globe, then I'm going to be doing that. Don't lose track of why things like the Black Swan exist. They exist in the ring, in the fight, to be used as a tool in the fight, not as a standpoint to move forward on. You know, it would be absurd for me as a flat earther to start postulating my position that Earth's flat with affirming the consequent taken apart or a logical consistency offered up that uses a globe in the first instance. If I beg the question Earth's a sphere, you're going to be thinking about spheres from this point forth and how they do or don't work. Let's stop all that. Let's just tell the audience how Earth is measured flat. And there's no further requirement. No, don't get me wrong. I'm sure Arwen will call me on this and say, no, you've still got to have a good understanding. If you want to debate, you do. If you just want to get on with your life, realizing that you've been lied to, and know that you have to second guess yourself 6 months down the line when you've had a load of browbeating from fundamentalist religious zealots with a globe belief that you're wrong. If you knew from day one, you wouldn't waste your time. But you don't know from day one. You're told you need to learn more about how the globe does not work. What, to affirm that Earth's flat?
Nathan, you are totally correct in this, but it's really a matter of personal perspective, right? So what you're explaining is like, look, You don't need to get involved in any of that with the new knowledge we attain and how you need a flat earth for all of it. If you're just going to go into their claims, you're going to get caught up with that. So, but what David Weiss seems to still want to do, which is like the old 2015 format, is how do we convince these ballers they're wrong? Well, good luck with that. Yeah, we've been trying that for a while. They always just go back to the beginning. So it is technically pointless. I agree with that. It's better to just understand exactly how the Earth is flat and just lay that down and then try to make the ballers respond to that.
Yeah, well, we need to shout this loud and clear so that let's pick someone less hostile, because Dave Weiss has become a hostile, unfortunately, but people like Mark Sargent are not, and he has typically had a fair amount of praise from us for giving a soft landing to people when they're stuck in a heliocentric rhetoric. Well, given the stats that he himself is publishing in regards to the uptake of flat Earth and the comprehension thereof in the general populace, I can say that future newcomers don't need that feast of nonsense soft landing and undoing of your current rhetoric that you're stuck in. There's plenty of people who aren't stuck or are open-minded enough because they're young to not warrant giving them a path that they're inevitably going to walk that will lead them to being like Dave Weiss, tarnished with undoing constant affirmations of globe claims that haven't been put to him, that will only leave you thinking about how the globe and how it may or may not work. Well, that's tiring and stressful, and you wouldn't be concerned with it if you just knew it was flat from the off. So that's the rhetoric we need to start pushing, and it'll show its own effectiveness in the people that have come here and gone, oh yeah, I knew it was flat. We went along to flat Earth debate and had a listen for an hour, and very quickly it was obvious that Earth's measured flat in all respects. Now, they offered up some debating points about how globe claims come along that use orbital mechanics, but they also need a flat Earth. But I didn't really pay that much attention after knowing it was flat and how it was measured that way. I just got on with my day. What's that? You want to now convince me of your globe faith? Go away. You're just another fundamentalist religious zealot to me. I don't need convincing of your faith in a globe. But what's that? You need to put them... You need me to understand them? No, I don't. Go away. It's measured flat. Sod off.
Nathan, there's a reason why you got to be thinking outside the box. He's got to push that because down the road, there's that ether belief that's going to come into play. Always.
I have to completely disagree, Nathan.
Oh,
That's sure.
All right, Brian, go on with your feast of nonsense soft landing garbage that you always peddle. How dare you?
Yeah, because you're saying all people need is just a measurement to show them it's flat. That's completely false. As measurements were brought to you, and you didn't jump all over them. And this is after we become a flat earther, as proof of a flat earth. Surveying measurements, measurements to do with air travel. It wasn't until celestial navigation came along and 10th man brought the elevation angle. Until then you said, yeah, this is what I want. So it's not just so cut and dried. You can just say, here, this is a measurement of a flat earth that someone's going to go, oh, it's flat. That is not.
That's not what he's saying.
But this is what we're talking. This is what we're talking about. It is what he's saying.
It isn't. But I think Neil's picked up on where I'm trying to start people off from. I'm saying not that they shouldn't understand a wide variety of flat Earth proofs and how they work, or even that they shouldn't look at how heliocentrism doesn't work, as Dave is perpetuating in this particular interview. I'm suggesting that the starting point shouldn't be speculation about how a globe may or may not work, about NASA, about name some feast of nonsense subjects, false dichotomies about ball Earth turning or not turning, you name it, right? That shouldn't be the starting point. If you get to this subject, the first thing you need to find out is that Earth's measured flat. By whatever means, it doesn't have to be celestial navigation. Whatever the starting point for that newbie who gets to this subject, that's the starting point they should get to then expand their knowledge about heliocentrism if they choose to, or flat Earth if they choose to. But there's no immediate necessity to position your argument, if you're going to argue about it at all, or feel the need to if you already know, with a globe debunking from the off, like Dave's offering. That's what I'm objecting to. You don't need to start your journey with a exemplary understanding of how the globe doesn't work.
Okay, I'll accept that. Yeah, that is correct. The first thing that someone is told they shouldn't be told about how the globe doesn't work. They should be shown some basics to show what the world, a basic measurement of what the world is in its basic form. I agree with that.
Exactly. They should kiss you. The words should be phrased such that you need a base understanding of how the world is actually being measured, and that measurement requires the ground, the earth, the reference, whatever you want to call it in that circumstance, depending on how new the newbie is. It's flat. That's how it's functionally operating. And if they understand that, be it through the development of maps or the use of maps, if it's celestial navigation that you're talking about, surveying as Dave used, but with a focus on it to the point where the audience member knows at the end of that discussion, this is how Earth is functionally flat, to the point where if they go away and research it, they could easily affirm that which they've been told in no uncertain terms.
But that's what that guy was trying to say. He said he's in construction. He's trying to explain that he understands that it's built on flat. It has to be. And Dave took him into heliocentrism. Why?
Because that's how he's been trained to do this with Feast of Nonsense. We all have, and we've had to break that cycle. This is us starting to break that cycle moving into 2024, to stop the necessity to regurgitate how the globe doesn't work to justify your flat earth belief. Relinquish your flat earth belief, get a flat earth understanding. And then if you choose to understand how globe doesn't work, that's up to you if you want to get into debates and convert zealots. Because that's what it's useful for. It's not useful. I see this all the time in comments and in personal emails and messages and Skypes, things like that. People telling me that out in the real world, it is not like this. You don't find that the person's immediately going to shout at you and rage at you because you've told them Earth's flat. Intrigue is 99% of the time what you get from average normie when you tell them on the street. They don't ridicule you. It's not the reaction that we get on the internet from faceless, nameless trolls who want to make their numbers seem larger by having 25 sock accounts and sharing their pain continually, making it their dedicated job to fight the flat earth as a woman beater, projecting their aggression onto us. That's what we have to deal with. No, we don't. No, you don't have to deal with anti-flat earthers as a primary concern when you get here. And as me, a videographer and flat earther who's disseminating this information to an audience, I want to disseminate to them that Earth's flat. That's the bit that's important, isn't it? Not how the globe isn't spinning underneath stuff.
Absolute, complete and total insanity. This is an amateur balloon photo without a fisheye lens. This is an amateur balloon photo without a fisheye lens. And when you're up high, you can't even see. The Earth is all whited out. And you go back, it's kind of, the colors are muted.
Who gives a crap? So the horizon has a practical application, though, doesn't it? In both building, surveying, and celestial navigation, you can reference a horizontal plane by use of the horizon. That's its useful practical application in the real world. You establish horizontal with it. Clue is in the name. Establishing a horizontal plane of reference is establishing Earth as flat. That's what the horizon actually offers us. Why are we looking at it and just talking about what it makes us feel like, or how the muted colours make us feel? It's got a use. We use the horizon. So arguing about the non-practical application of Earth curve, which is probably what we'll get into next, again, it serves the same, it generates the same dismay in me for the same exact reasons. Why are we going to get into what Earth curve should or shouldn't do? We can do that at the advanced level of heliocentric debate with anti-flat earthers when we offer them up the black swan. That is 20 levels into the discussion that most people who get here do not need. You don't need to be able to overcome the arguments that we put forth to that extent, to that complexity with the black swan. If you're at that level, you're an enthusiast about flat earth. Yeah? It's touched you in a way that you want to be able to overcome the objections you get from anti-flat earthers. And the black swan offers up that sort of super sharp advanced debate tool. But if you're the guy who's getting here that we would previously praise Mark Sargent for offering a soft landing, do they need the black swan? No! They just need to know it's measured flat. And in this case, horizon. Well, what does that offer me as a flat earther? It offers proof in terms of how people practically apply a measurement using it to give them a flat earth as a reference. A horizontal plane of reference. A flat earth. That's all that's important when it comes to the horizon. Oh no, my bad. We all need to regurgitate feast of nonsense about what Earth curve should do at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, or how 8 inches per mile squared is the Earth curve calculation, or how it doesn't look like it's bending. It's got a practical use. We use it to establish Earth as flat. That's all that matters. That's where you should start. The rest of it is folly for your average Joe normie. It's advanced for us, and we can wank off about how wonderful we are for knowing the advanced arguments. It's just not needed. This isn't how we should be moving forward into 2024. First thing out of your lips, if you're going to tell someone you're a flat earther, tell them how it's measured flat. Someone brings up the horizon because they're a globe believer who thinks it's curving, tell them how it's practically applied to establish Earth as flat.
Well, when you see pictures from NASA, this is another one, right? The sun kind of looks like, in all of these pictures, it looks like it's almost the same height as the balloon. But then we have a picture from NASA and we get this. Oh, and all of a sudden you can see the land, you can see the lights, and you have this curve and this green line. This is from NASA.
Yeah, wow.
This is stupid. And here's another one. This is
stupid. What about telling him how rate of change, that would be the slope or curve that you're presenting, cannot comport when you're establishing horizontal with the horizon? Again, if you're gonna juxtapose it, as much as that's my main objection here, with a globe Earth that's presented to you in NASA, you juxtapose it with the practical application of a horizon that establishes a horizontal plane. Rather than just saying NASA's pictures are stupid. Is this the standard? I feel ashamed. Anybody give a comment? I'm going to get my temperament in order because I'm getting more and more exasperated as time progresses with this video.
Yeah.
Well, I want to give a comment. I mean, at least, your points are valid, but I do want to say at least he's not really technically messing up. He's been worse. So I'm curious to see where this goes.
What? Okay.
Ridiculous.
He's not totally messed up so far, so he gets a pass from Arwin. Okay.
No,
fine, I guess.
I'm just saying, like, you just want him to be more advanced, but technically he's not, like, making a complete fool of himself like Jaren that time when he went on McToon.
Oh, I'm saying
right?
collectively, we make fools of ourselves when we approach the subject of proving Earth flat with a heliocentric debunking. That makes us all look foolish. We should be more confident. We should know our stuff. Not their stuff.
From NASA,
In 2016, Alwyn, this would be acceptable. Not in 2024, in a couple of weeks. Listen to what Nathan's saying.
I am, Nicole.
I'm saying we specifically are at the tip of the spear when it comes to debating the nature of reality as a flat Earth. Offering up the contrapositive arguments to the globe assertions in debate. Now, do people who come here necessarily want to get into being a good debater? No. You want to know the arguments. You want to know how the arguments overcome the globe assertions if they're being made, and how a positive claim of a flat Earth can be proven. That's what you'll be coming for. So therefore, that's what you should leave with. Nothing else. If nothing else was achieved at the end of each show, I'd be elated. So every person comes in and they've not got to hear an advanced heliocentrist be taken apart by one of the panel. No, they haven't. But they did hear how Earth was measured flat, because if they take that away, they may not feel the need to ever get into a debate with a family member about it. Oh, right, yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm a flat earther. What? Why? When we've got orbits? Oh, I don't know anything about orbits. I do know that it's measured flat, though. Well, what about this Coriolis effect? I've never really heard that term before. I've got a vague idea what that is, but I don't know how that would relate to your globe Earth belief when Earth's measured flat. You literally can overcome everything if you start off with that, rather than saying, oh, orbital motion. Well, the orbit of Saturn doesn't match up on this. Why are you getting into that wrangle-dangle? Because then all you're doing is arguing about their globe belief and how you say their globe belief's wrong, rather than being confident enough to say, no, I know it's flat. I don't have to have this argument with you. Even if I'm ignorant of your belief, I don't need to be a Jehovah's Witness to know I'm not going to be one, and I don't want to be.
What's happening here? Hold on. I agree with you, Nathan, but except for the Saturn part, it's actually Mercury. But
you know what I meant.
Fine.
You know what I meant.
What's happening here is, Nathan, in construction, right? You work the hard way, and then this tool comes out that makes the job so much easier. And you're like, wow, what a great invention this wall trimmer is. I just stick it on the wall and slide it down, and it cuts it. I don't have to do it manually, inch by inch. No, there's the old timers that still want to use the old way and take up more time. Nathan used to do that, and he got blue in the face with the Coriolis. So now he's got this new tool, and that's all he wants to use now.
Well, it's not a tool. It's a way of thinking, a way of approaching this subject so that the audience can appreciate that they don't need to become an advanced heliocentrist. If you're stuck in the cult of Scientology, or what was the one I used earlier? Tinfoil Hat Man was one. What was he? A Jehovah's Witness. If you're stuck in a cult and everyone around you just approaches you to tell you how your belief within the cult doesn't function, and then approach it from the presupposition that the cult's correct. So Xenu's definitely real, but how could Xenu have done this? How could he have gone on all those DC-10s through space? Well, you're working within the paradigm that they're already a part of, so they can question the paradigm from within the paradigm. Yeah? Now, if you can take them out of the paradigm, which coincidentally in this example, Flat Earth actually does also, how could be traveling to different planets through a sky vacuum when Earth is measured and navigated flat? And that's how all of the maps and models have come to pass, with measurements of a flat plane. That couldn't be conducive with your worldview of planets and solar systems within Scientology. Coincidentally, exactly the same as heliocentrism. Yeah? You can undo someone's paradigm from outside of their paradigm without going into how Xenu might operate for them in their world, while you adhere to their views and undo them from within. Now, it's not been easy to concisely verbalise why I objected 5 years ago to Anthony begging the question of their paradigm to argue from within it. I knew it frustrated me, I just didn't know why. And it's because everybody around me is doing that, because they've all had to overcome assertions from their opponent that haven't been backed. They haven't been substantiated fully. They haven't backed their positive claim that Earth's got a Coriolis effect, that Earth's got axial rotation, that Earth has a sky vacuum above it, that we have orbital motion at all. None of those assertions in the positive have been backed. But we've been duped into fighting the useless idiots that don't even know the claim with a better understanding. We're doing a better job of verbalizing the confusing paradigm that doesn't work to the audience than they are, if you are to believe what Dave is saying. You need to be a exemplary heliocentrist. What, so that the heliocentric paradigm's got a really good representation from you, the flat earther? That seems about face, doesn't it? Doesn't that seem a bit crazy? Wouldn't it be the positive assertion of the believer, whether they know they're a believer or not in globe Earth, to make that claim pad out for them? You don't need to know it. You just need to challenge them if they offer up garbage evidence, which they have only got. Now, 5, 6, 7, 8 years into the subject, if you're a regular, you know they've got garbage. But do you need to know that as a starting point for how badly their positive claim they haven't made or substantiated fails before they've made it? You think that's a good starting point? I think knowing Earth's flat measured that way would be a much better starting point for everybody who arrives in this subject. Without exception.
Well, Nathan, sorry.
Done.
I was going to say that the globe paradigm is the biggest disproven negative in history. because not one part of it was or can be proven. So they're expecting you to disprove something that was never proven to exist in the first place. And that's the trap people end up in.
Yeah, we've been trained up like monkeys to get a really good understanding of heliocentrism so that we can do a better job of putting that argument forth in the negative so that an ignorant globe believer can come and fight it in the positive with the cheers from behind the scenes, i.e. the audience, behind him. Right or wrong, knowledgeable or otherwise, the discussion's going to come through forth and be reasonably coherent because the flat earther's going to be 10 times more knowledgeable about the heliocentric discussion and only the heliocentric discussion that is on the table when arguing for a positive position of a flat earth, but just with the globe being debunked and how it doesn't work. Like, no. This seems wrong. Why did I have to do all this work? I mean, like I said at the beginning, I'd already got a reasonable handle on heliocentrism before I became a flat earther. So it didn't seem like that much of a chore to get into the wrangle-dangle of the feast of nonsense and start learning what I suddenly felt obliged I had to learn about how heliocentrism doesn't work. Shouldn't I be walking away from this crap? It's like telling a Scientology believer, well, if you want to leave the Scientology cult, you know what you need to do? You need to know 10 times more about Scientology than next man. How does this make any sense? I need to be better versed in Scientology to leave Scientology. But that's what's being peddled here by Dave, isn't it?
Yeah,
it sounds like to me.
I will agree that the average person doesn't need to know everything about heliocentrism. But the problem is that you will get challenged, and the everyday person will be challenged if they just say, well, this is a flat measurement. What will happen is, because my personal experience, can't speak for everyone else, but my personal experience has been, when I produce something that's a flatter proof of a flat plane, it's hand-waved immediately, completely hand-waved, and they only want to talk about heliocentrism.
Yeah.
Or some other nonsense. That's not that. It's just completely hand-waved.
Exactly. The game's been rigged that way, and they want the rigged game to continue that way. And if you don't want to play their rigged game, they'll insist that the rigged game is played with only their position being fought in the negative by you. You've got to debate how heliocentric doesn't work, and I'll debate on how it is. And if you're just going to come along and offer a flat earth proof, that's not conforming with the rigged game, is it, Brian?
Or any other nonsense. And that's what they do. And the average everyday person will get caught in that trap.
Yeah, so what do? You leave the person alone like that, right, Brian? If you lay out how Earth is measured flat and they hand wave it, it's time to walk away.
Yeah, but the problem is, it's a bit cut and dry for us to say that because we can walk away and laugh because we know. But the average everyday person doesn't know. And are they likely to just walk away? A lot of them are not. They'll end up in a conversation or an argument with someone who's just a fundamentalist. Because what Nathan said earlier, something Bev had said for ages, is that you don't meet these people out in the real world. You talk to normal people in the real world. These people we deal with in this arena are not the average person in the real world. But the problem is, people will go online who is the everyday person, and they will end up running into these people. And even if they met them in the real world, the person may not say anything to them. But if they meet them online, then that person that they met in the real world who said nothing or may say something online will turn into this fundamentalist, because that's what we're dealing with. And that it is right to show someone who's new, yeah, this is a real world measurement. This is what happens. And it's all referencing a horizontal plane over such a big distance, whatever, right? So it's not arguable. But when they try and bring that to somebody who's a fundamentalist, which they will meet eventually, what they're going to deal with is being hand-waved and then being asked a load of questions about how this happens and that happens, a load of straw man arguments that the person's not going to understand. Then the person, before they know it, is in a debate about whether their paradigm is correct, the heliocentric paradigm is correct, or some other flat earth paradigm that's been given to them by the ballers, and they'll also point with David Weiss and whatever else, and the measurement that is the strongest part of it has been completely hand-waved and forgotten about. And that's the problem. That's why I have to say, you need to know their paradigm. If you're going to address them, you need to know their paradigm.
I don't agree with that. That's what they said to Paul on 24/7. I don't agree with that at all. I think when you come, that's like saying you got proof of something and saying, well, you need to know about the unproven thing first before you can
but Paul
know
does
about the proven thing.
Yeah, but Paul does understand their paradigm. He does understand it. I mean, he does understand the illogic that goes into their arguments. He does get that. Not a lot of people don't get that. They're not going to get that. They're just like, I don't know. I just know this is a measurement of a flat plane, and they'll be laughed at online. Maybe even in real life. I don't know. You don't know. You don't know who the fundamentalists are. You don't know, even within your own family and friends. You don't know who they are until you bring up a subject like this. Then suddenly the fundamentalists come out.
But you're saying you need to know. But what I'm hearing is, maybe I'm wrong. What I'm hearing is I need to know about this paradigm that's never been proven so good to prove Earth is measured flat. When you have the proof that Earth is measured flat, you have to know more about the unproven thing. It's folly to me.
The point is that you can take that measurement and you can go along with your life that you're being shown about, and that will always be the same. It won't change. But we're living in a world of, there's no point pretending. We're living in a world that has been indoctrinated into believing the world is something it's not. So, like, we don't know how many fundamentalists are out there. We don't know. Within your own family and friend circle, you don't know which one of those people will suddenly switch on their fundamentals. It's like a switch. Suddenly they're fundamentalists, and you didn't even realize. There was no conversation to be had with the people because they're just fundamentalists.
Well, here's the thing, too, that happened with me with my sister-in-law that time. When I tried to explain to her how Earth is measured flat, when I tried to bring it to the black swan, what would have ended it right there. I don't want to hear it. You're uneducated. You're all uneducated. And you're telling me that the education system is wrong. I don't want to hear it. She closed her ears.
But she's not a fundamentalist, Neil. She's not a fundamentalist. She's someone who just doesn't want to hear it.
She's on her way to be.
Yeah, but she just doesn't want to hear it. The difference. A fundamentalist is not someone who doesn't want to hear it. A fundamentalist is someone who wants, right, no matter what, to show that you're wrong or to character assassinate you. They always end up trying to character assassinate. A fundamentalist will always end up trying to character assassinate someone.
Okay, my sister-in-law has heard about this. Now, my brother told me in 2016, right in the beginning of 2016. So she's not, I'm sure he's spoken to her, but she resists, right? And she takes, what's that fallacy when you're taking the word of the authority? That's what she leans on. The education system, what she thinks science is, NASA, and she thinks we're all stupid. So what do you have there?
Neil, that's the appeal to authority fallacy.
Okay, appeal to authority. So that's what she goes to. And she will close her ears, and especially for me. You kidding me? She took psychology. She graduated with honors, and she's so smart. And we're just dumb flat earthers who believe and are holding on to a psyop that's put in there to cause division in the church. There you go.
Well, there you go.
I mean, I don't know where to go with it anymore. There's nowhere you could go with it. Just don't talk about it with them anymore. Leave them alone to their beliefs. Because they have beliefs too.
Are we all reflecting on what Neil's saying? I'm just trying to punch out a thumbnail for the live show.
They probably ignored everything
No,
else.
your sister is not a fundamentalist, Neil. Sorry, your sister is not. Fight the Flat Earth is a fundamentalist. Your sister is not, or your sister-in-law,
I don't think so.
or whichever.
I think she is. I think she fights for that globe, and she fights for what she thinks is science, which is pseudoscience, and she stands firm on that. She is a fundamentalist.
I never bring up this topic. I've never brought up the topic. Well, not never, but I never, as in majority of the time, I never bring up this topic at home. My mother, she was there with her partner, and the moon landings came up, and he started asking me about him or something. Like they know I'm flat earther, right? And I said something, and my mother got aggressive with me, and she shook her fist at me, saying, "Don't you go near the moon landings. That's my generation. Don't you dare take that from us." You know what I mean? Now,
Yeah,
my mother's not a fundamentalist, but has an emotional attachment to the moon landings that came out when she had drinking her. Do you know what I mean?
That's funny because I usually thought it was the American.
Yeah,
I thought it was the Americans that were really rigid on that. Where don't you take that away from me?
Yeah, but my mother is not a fundamentalist. But my first cousin is an unbelievable fundamentalist. He threatened me when he grew up in England. His mother and my father are brother and sister. He grew up in England, right? Now, when I first got into this, I think around late 2016 or something, I put a post up in Facebook. I never put posts on Facebook about it. And he came in attacking me and spent 3 weeks arguing with me about the biggest heap of nonsense he could come up with online, and then called me a Nazi and told me to F off, basically, right? Then when he was coming over for a visit to his relatives in Ireland from England, he told me he might be coming to my house, or he might run into me, and he threatened me I'd better not bring up any of that flat earth stuff.
Wow.
So he is a fundamentalist. Now, my mother is not a fundamentalist. She's just scared of the truth.
Yeah,
That's
I agree with that.
Hang on,
your mother's point.
Hang on, but my cousin is a fundamentalist.
Yeah, but it's just the moon landings that triggered your mother. It's everything that triggers my sister-in-law. It's the whole package, Brian.
Yeah, but that's fear. Fundamentalists are different. They have more than just fear. They have terror along with because their belief. And because my cousin has a degree in this or that, he has a couple of degrees, and because of that, he thought that meant that whatever he would say or think, or someone he teaches who would think the same as him has to be right, and anyone else has to be wrong. And
that's my sister-in-law too. She has degrees.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Did she threaten you and stuff? Because that's what my cousin did.
Yeah, she threatened for us to not talk about it no more. She don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I'm tired of this. I don't want to hear it no more. Earth is a sphere. La 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 la.
Is she online trolling flat earthers? Because I could bet €100 my cousin is right now online trolling flat earthers.
Yeah, well, then there's levels of it. There could be an insane fundamentalist, but if she's holding on to a belief system, then she's a fundamentalist. I understand. I understand what you're saying, Brian.
Well, my mother's
but Brian, just concede. We got to go with Neil. Fundamentalist is just a strict belief in a religious ideology, and that's exactly what heliocentrism and belief in outer space and all this stuff is.
I just think there's a difference between someone who's like an anti-flat earther and someone who's just trying to.
Well, there you go. You hit it. Anti-flat earther. That's a whole different category. But my sister-in-law is a fundamentalist. She believes the science, Brian. This scientists that who are we to go against their scientists? We're only in this a few years. They've devoted their lives to it. It's the kind of things you get.
Look, I don't know. I just think that there's a big difference between the reaction, let's say, my mother had and the reaction my first cousin had. There are two big different reactions.
I agree. But to me, my sister-in-law is in line with your cousin. Same thing. A cousin is a teacher. She won't even discuss it.
My mother's partner, he's a nice fella, really nice fella. But he was a surveyor for 30 years, geodetic surveyor. And he stopped in 1993. And that was when the beginning of 93, 94 is when the first, what would be the use of what they claim satellites came in, right? For surveying, right? It was around that time that GPS started in surveying, and surveyors started learning about GPS because it started in surveying. It didn't start with the US military. It's a surveying thing. And he told me, he said, he was standing there one day around 93, 94 with a friend of his he was working with at the time, who was a very experienced surveyor. And this man was telling him with this GPS receiver in his hand, saying, about right now, that satellite is just over our head. Right? He was telling my mother's partner this, and he was pointing at a lot of numbers on a screen, right? Now, my mother's partner, I said, yeah, I understand that. I tried to tell him, yes, I understand that there was this claim that satellites are overhead and doing this, that, and everything. But I'm saying, I was trying to point out to him that there doesn't need to be satellites for what you're talking about to work. It works cheaper and easier without having to have things in the sky. I'm not saying they do or don't have things in the sky. Not saying that. I'm saying is that you can do that based off of land positions. You don't need things in the sky. And he said to me, he says, are you calling my friend a liar? My friend's an honest man. He wouldn't lie to anyone, right? And he got angry at me. And I said, I'm not calling your friend a liar, I said. I'm saying is that your friend is he's just doesn't understand what it is what the GPS is and how it works. And
so where did they send these satellites, though? You didn't take them there? Like, where are these supposed satellites?
Neil, my God, to try and go there. See, the whole point I was trying to make them was I was talking to them about surveying. And when GPS came up, I had to point out that, well, that started in surveying. And started pointing out where it started in surveying. Because he left surveying at that time. He retired from surveying at that exact point. So he never got to carry on. And he doesn't know what happens after that time. It's just that me saying to him that there wasn't this satellite in this sky vacuum above his head, I was trying to point the point that that's not necessary for this system to work. This system works just as well with land-based things. I didn't even get a chance to explain it to him because he got angry at me because he felt I was calling his friend a liar. And he said, my friend is as honest man ever. He never lied in one day in his life. You know, and so it's like, I'm not calling your friend a liar. And it just went downhill from there.
So you don't think it would have been better to break down the whole vacuum of space?
No, Neil, he was in a temper. Wasting your time. He was in a temper. No point trying to. I was trying to have a conversation with him about surveying and show him in surveying you're not measuring any earth curve without bringing up earth curve or flat earth. You know what I mean? Because I was trying to subtly get through to him what you're doing can only be done on a flat plane. And I was. He was even surprised at how much I knew about surveying. He was like, well, you really know this. I was like, yeah, I do. Do you know what I mean? I know it pretty well. I don't, you know what I mean? I know maybe not every aspect, but I know the aspects I need to know. But he even said, how come you weren't a surveyor? And I said, well, I'm not looking to be a surveyor. Do you know what I mean? I just understand it. But it went from a good conversation and him being my mother's partner to him thinking and calling his friend a liar. That's where I ended up as. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, I'm not calling your friend a liar. I'm not saying he's lying. I'm saying he's misunderstanding something, or you're both misunderstanding something. And it just went nowhere. If I tried to tell him about entropy and all the rest of it, he wouldn't, no way would he hear it. You know what I mean? There's no.
So that's what that's the David Weiss approach, and that's what happens when you take the David Weiss approach, telling him how something can't work a certain way. That's the David Weiss approach. I don't know.
It wasn't the David Weiss approach. If I tried to tell him about blah 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 how it's measured flat, he's going to straight away try and tell me how he measured our curve, and I'm not going to go down that road with him. I wanted to show him as a surveyor what he never did. And I was trying to get there until he came along with his friend with GPS. And I tried to just suddenly get around the whole GPS issue. And suddenly I'm calling his friend a liar. And he was in a temper with me. What am I supposed to do? It's my mother's partner as well. I can't just be, although I have it out with him sometimes, hammer and tongs on different issues, I have to show a certain amount of, like, I'm friends with the man, everything. Like, you know what I mean? I can't just come at him with the second law of thermodynamics and start flattening him. He's not going to listen. He won't want to hear about it. I was trying to show him that what he did was measure off of a flat plane at all times. That's where I was trying to go with it. And it just, something must have triggered in his head, and suddenly I was calling his friend a liar.
Yeah, I guess there's all different scenarios. I got you.
It's not a stranger I'm dealing with. You're not going to wait. Somebody who isn't a stranger and has surveying experience. You know what I mean? So, he was telling me all about how he used to do all the trigonometry, and I was kind of going, yeah, trigonometry. And he was surveying massive areas and mountains to mountains, from one mountain to two other mountains, using trigonometry. And he's telling me all about how he used to do it. Yeah, and he used to have to do it without having any GPS or anything else. He used to have to do everything with pen and paper and do all the mathematics himself. And I was going, yeah, because you're using a horizontal plane. You know what I mean? You self-casting work on the globe. Do you know what I mean? Angular sizes, they don't exist in without saying it to him. Without saying to him, angular sizes don't exist within that paradigm. I was trying to point out that angular sizes don't exist within that paradigm. You know what I mean? What am I supposed to do?
It's kind of strange that more surveyors are not like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like hitting them right in the face.
Oh, it is, Neil. It is. I have no doubt it is. There's a lot of surveyors out there. They can't speak up. Look what happened to, what's his name in 2016? Brian Mullins. That's the problem they have. You're allowed to speak up about the globe, but you're not allowed to speak up about anything that's not the globe. So I have no doubt there's plenty of surveyors out there going, no, we're not measuring any globe. It's obvious we're not measuring any globe. But they did add GPS in, and so there is surveyors out there who do believe that GPS is the only satellite flying around the globe. So that's the problem. So a lot of them are living in a contradiction. They're measuring off a horizontal plane, which is mean sea level, constantly. But then they believe that mean sea level is an arc. Or, you know what I mean, of some arc of a sphere, you know what I mean? Or of a circle as part of a sphere. Do you know what I mean? They're living in a contradiction.
Strange place we find ourselves in. Where's QE? Is he here?
He's in the call, but I don't know if he's available to talk.
Is he having a show today?
I don't know. Nathan, back to.
Yeah. What's it to you?
Yeah, Neil.
Yes. I'm having a show today. What's it to you?
No, I just wanted to know if you're having a show.
Yeah. Yeah. Why wouldn't I?
Is it going to be that Witsit train wreck?
Now, I do treatments by myself.
You should play a little bit of that so these guys can hear it. Because
what guys?
Nathan and the rest of the guys, because they didn't hear.
They already heard it.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
When was this?
A few days ago. In fact, Nathan
You disappeared there, Kiwi. Trailed off when they were talking.
Is he talking about when he played it for us? I thought it was just me, you, and Adam and Owen. And you didn't even hear it, right, Brian?
Yeah, it was a couple of ye that heard it. I didn't hear it. There's a Kiwi's having mic issues. Do you know who else is having a mic?
But now he's the one that's roboting.
Oh.
You're a train wreck.
I shouldn't have issues. What's going on?
Oh, I thought you trailed out there. I thought you were speaking and you just kind of trailed out on a word. It just went, the sound just went.
No.
Roboting on me.
I ain't roboting. Shut up, Neil.
Well, you know who is having mic issues? In every after show, Nathan.
Really?
What?
Yeah, he says he's using I'm just making a thumbnail excuse. But what really he's trying to do is make sure that there's no topic that he's providing or helping to provide to keep the after show going. Then he's not joining in on the conversation to make sure that he's not keeping the after show going. And in the hope that the after show dies and he gets to close out. And he'll tell you, I'm making a thumbnail as some kind of an excuse.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He said, keep the conversation going. I'm making a thumbnail.
Well, I'm sure he'll come back if we start talking about cooking or something, you know.
Yeah,
You'll come back and say, and with that. That's what he'll come back and say.
Oh, and with that. Perfect. And with that.
Oh, when you hear that perfect, it's over. No matter what you do, you'll be a shell of a man.
Yeah.
Say it again, Shivi.
Nah, I'm not.
Is that actually my cue to round out then?
Sounds like it, Nathan. That's what you've been looking for.
Sounds like
so
it.
You're saying Nathan's just looking to round out?
Yeah, as soon as possible after the live show. He's full of beans during the live show. The minute the live show ends, it's like as if all the passion just drained from the man. I don't know.
I'll join in if there's something that I feel is worthy of joining in. But I've been criticised in the past that you're always taking the forefront, and it's like I've got to step back at some point. The live show.
I've never criticised you that.
I'm sure you didn't, but I'm just saying some people have, and me stepping back at some point during the show, at least, there's no influence from me to push you into a certain type of conversation, is there? I'll join in if there's.
Can you produce any evidence that other people have done this, have accused you of this?
Say again?
Have you any evidence that people have accused you of taking the forefront too much?
Yes, they have directly. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Nathan gets accused of being a mic hog.
Yeah, but Nathan's the driving force for the show. See, what he's doing here is he's using the fact that someone may have said to him, "You're taking too much of the forefront." He's using that as an excuse, so he doesn't have to say anything. And hopefully, he's hoping that conversation goes to nothing, and we end up speaking about apples or some nonsense like that. And he'll go, "And that's perfect." That's it. And with that, that's what he's looking for.
Waiting to get that word perfect in there.
Oh,
yeah, he's waiting for that moment.
There's also the concern that the people in the Discord server who may be new are just waiting for a nice, calm moment that they're not going to get challenged on their claim, but they feel a desperate need to put it forward. And if I'm yammering on, they might not do that. Whereas if I'm not, they might.
like a cozy cushion.
Well, listening to you guys jabber on might make them, feel comfortable with expressing their views.
They're not coming in anymore, Nathan. Maybe you'll get a straggler every now and then.
Who's in the Discord server? I haven't really been paying that much attention to it. Tomorrow I'm going to go in Flat Earth 24/7 Discord. That's my intention, at least.
Say that one more time.
We'll have a different server tomorrow.
We're going to have a different server tomorrow.
You won't. On this panel, that won't change for now. But for tomorrow, I'm going to go into Flat Earth 24/7 Discord rather than Science versus Pseudoscience Discord. So there's a different group of people.
Oh, nice move.
Really?
Oh, really?
How many people have you been in 24/7 Flat Earth Discord recently?
No.
Well, you know that more major percentage of the time these past couple months, there's no one there.
Literally no one there.
Yep.
Really?
The politics version tends to have all the people.
Oh, well, whatever. Whatever's the current hotness. Anyway, I'll figure that out tomorrow. Maybe I won't if I can't figure it out.
You go in there and listen to the radio bot. Because that's what they'll have playing. And if you're not a moderator, you won't be able to mute the radio bot, so it'll be total audio chaos.
Radio bot?
Yeah.
I mean radio.
You plan on going into the live stream in 24/7?
I don't know what I'm going to do. You're asking me like I know what I'm doing.
Get with Indio on that?
I wanted to ask you, John, can you private message Indio or CJ? Because I don't think I have the permissions because I'm not a friend. So I can send you the text I wanted to send them for Nathan.
Indio is much like Nathan in private messages. He never looks at them.
I see. CJ has replied to me before, but I've got a new account now, so he might not recognize it. Is there anything? I'll put it in the back office anyway, so you can see what I've sent him.
CJ? Who's CJ?
CJ is the other admin on 24/7.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, his username is CJ_24/7. Just a little clue.
Little clue?
I've spoken to him before, so he's an admin on there.
Okay,
I don't know him.
Things are happening that may facilitate that happening in the near future if it doesn't happen tomorrow. But, in order for these things to happen, I've at least got to express my attention at some stage. And, even in total ignorance, it sounds like things may happen. I'll be able to go into a slightly different server.
We're trying to grow the show.
It's just a different variety of people to talk to, isn't it?
We're planting our seed in other areas where the soil might be good.
That sounds like an idiot metaphor.
Well, with all due respect to the Discord server, there's not a great deal of participation at the moment from... Well, I'm not trying to cause offence by saying that, but it might be that on different turf, it might be the same people, but they might participate more because they're in a different place. I don't know. It's worth trying it.
Huey, did you hear the show today and the things that David Weiss was saying?
Negative.
Well, then you should listen to it because people need to hear how it's discussed internally here. It needs to reach a broad audience.
and this is kind of a very lumpy, or is that a circle or is that the bottom half of a pear? So this is NASA. This is NASA. NASA. Right? This is what they want you to see. Oh, by the way, here, this is from the space station. See this curve from the space station? See this curve? A little different. Why is it different? Why? Okay, we'll say it's close to the same. This is a little flatter. This is from the space station. This is from when Elon Musk sent his car up to space.
So what we covered in the live show, QE, was the constant affirmation of globe by flat earthers. So here's a guy in space. Here's Elon Musk's space car. Here's the globe from space. Here's another curvature of the Earth from space. What's going on? It's just me.
Yeah, his arguments have always been seriously weak. But yeah, they do that a lot. What was the conclusion from that? Was he getting anywhere, like, even if you were to go to space? Because he's screwing up right there, obviously. Did he conclude it, like, with some...
And he could see the whole Earth. He could see the whole Earth. This is what they showed us. First question is, where's all the land? But the other question is, how could he see the whole Earth when the space station can't? This is at 170 miles up, and the space station's 250 miles up. This is from like 1 million miles away. What's going on here? What this is just stupidity, fakery. If you can't figure it out, it's because it's lies and it's just nonsense. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's his conclusion.
Yeah, well, there you go. He's using it clumsily as somewhat implicitly. There's a problem here, and the Earth is flat. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Absolute and total nonsense.
Well, look, let's make sense of it, because again, it's just
and there it is. Here's a globe, here's a globe, here's a globe, here's a globe. It's all nonsense. Well, I think what we should do for the next period of time is make sense of it. Let's make sense of it. What, all the globe stuff that you just put in front of me? Let's make sense of that globe stuff. This is the wrong positioning, isn't it? This is how the discussion progresses. Here's a load of globe stuff. I say it's nonsense. Well, let's discuss how it might not be nonsense. Why not just point out how Earth's measured flat? Wouldn't that be better?
Sure. Yep.
It is a difficult thing to wrap your head around, because you're so indoctrinated with years and years of programming of like what it should be, and then you've got the NASA photos and the images from space and all that kind of stuff, and then there's all questions about the sky.
They were all clear. There's definitely images from space, and there's all those images from space, including the ones you've just shown me, that I still accept as images from space. So that's the way this discussion's rolling. Is this helping Flat Earth? No, it's very detrimental, I would say.
And what's above it, and firmaments, and then you've got, what's outer space, and what are these things that they call planets, and what about the moon landing? Like, there's so many things that we could go on about in terms of what's outside of that. And then there's
all in the confines of heliocentrism, heliocentric rhetoric, heliocentric journeys, heliocentric space. So we could discuss all those heliocentric things here today, because I've got a flat earther on the panel with me. So let's discuss heliocentrism.
There's this great question, which I want to get to, hopefully, if we got time, is like, where does this leave the creator in the world in terms of, who designed this? And is this a matrix? Is this a simulation? Like, I don't know if we've got time to get into that, but I'd love to go down. But
yeah, we'll get into all that. We'll do it. Yeah.
So
Come again, Neil?
It opens the door for all of that, doesn't it?
Well, we're not proving Earth's flat, is my point here, Neil.
Yeah.
Yeah, by not directly proving Earth is flat, he opens the door for all the other nonsense.
Yeah, exactly.
Planets. Go ahead.
All right, great. I went on to I went on to Chat GPT and I said to Chat GPT,
how can I prove Earth's flat? Or how does Earth not work or work as a sphere? Let's see which one it is. Oh, has my mouse died? Oh, I thought my computer had crashed. My mouse has just run out of batteries.
my friend thinks the Earth's flat, and I think the Earth is round. So I want to have like 20 ways to prove that he's wrong. And this is what ChatGPT. It says, well, number one, the concept of gravity is explained by Isaac Newton. It's later refined by Albert Einstein.
So straight away, the process of thinking, you know, when going down this road that this journey is starting for this gentleman, Adrian, is study some of the heliocentric rhetoric. That's what we should be doing. I'll ask GPT about how some heliocentric rhetoric works or doesn't work. Okay? See how the train of thought progresses on this road that Dave Weiss is setting him down.
And is consistent with a spherical Earth. Gravity pulls objects towards the center mass, which is naturally forms a sphere. All right,
okay.
Over to you.
You want to go there? Just real quick. This is the Suez Canal. There should be over a mile of curvature.
Was it just me, or did Dave just give him a complete non sequitur answer?
Yeah, Dave gave him a completely non sequitur answer, but Chat GPT gave that other guy a completely non sequitur answer. Why'd it go to gravity first? And the Earth being round? Well, round and flat aren't mutually exclusive, you crayon muncher.
Sure, but
this
there's
is
zero
2015.
Sorry,
We're back in 2015, man. Right?
Yeah.
Here we go.
But that was my sentiment on the live show. Surely we should have progressed beyond this by now. I mean, rather than us saying, "Oh, why haven't we progressed?" It should be we should have not more disdain, but more disappointment. We're better than this, aren't we?
Curvature factored in. It had a datum line, went for over 100 miles with zero curvature. There should be over a mile, over 6,600 feet of curvature.
Should there? Again, audience hears how much curvature there should be. So as he's, Adrian, that is, looking at his monitor and taking in what Dave's told him, he's told him, listen up, mate, there should be some curvature here. So what's going to be his response? Well, I would suggest his response was, oh, well, let's figure out why it's not there. What's the anomaly that's stopping us seeing the curvature that should be there, as you suggest? It should be there. Because it should be there, right? Let's figure this out. Let's figure together out how this curvature that should be there. Because that's what should be there. Okay. Meanwhile, Earth's measured flat. That horizon's being used to establish planes of reference. That's proving Earth's flat. It's establishing Earth as a horizontal plane of reference, so you can reference it when you measure it. That's a lot more useful.
The horizon.
Say again?
The horizon itself is proof enough.
Why is that?
It's slope-a-dope.
What's the slope-a-dope?
Slope-a-dope is saying that horizontal lines and horizons have slope 0, while curvature is defined as having a non-zero slope. So that's a contradiction. It's a paradox.
The rate of change from the 0, right?
Yep.
And there's none. None. And then you just mentioned planets real quick, and then we'll hit gravity.
Yep.
Planets are wandering stars. They used to be called wandering stars. If you look up in the sky and see Venus or Jupiter's in our night sky here in the US now, it's super bright. Now, where's it getting its light? Well, the heliocentric model says that.
So we've got a postulation about what the stars are, where it's getting its light from, and now we're going to launch into what the heliocentric rhetoric describes. What about describing their useful practical application, their development of the latitude and longitude grid, their minimum elevation angle measurement for the equator? What about reversing that in terms of its practical use to navigate when measuring an elevation angle measurement off a flat plane of reference? What about establishing that flat plane of reference so you can measure the stars by using the horizon? What about all of these things that prove a flat Earth? No. Let's get into what the heliocentric rhetoric says about it.
That the sun is reflecting off the planet and coming back to you. Go outside, look at some rocks on the ground. Are they reflecting light back to you that bright that they look like the sun?
No, but they are absolutely unequivocally reflecting light back to me, otherwise I wouldn't see them. So what's this garbage point that makes no sense, that's useless and doesn't prove a flat Earth, contained within an argument for how heliocentrism should or shouldn't work?
Jupiter is they say is a gassy planet, and we're going to get into gravity with Jupiter. Jupiter is made of mostly hydrogen and helium, which defy gravity here on Earth. But they say Jupiter has more gravity than all of the other planets combined.
So we've got Jupiter and how much gas it is in a vacuum and how it does or doesn't defy gravity within a heliocentric sky vacuum. So we're all getting further and further away from globe Earth with this? Or are we learning more and more about what the globe Earth says? I'm pretty sure we're learning more and more about globe Earth here. We're getting... how much have we had in terms of flat Earth proof from Dave so far? 0. None. Nothing. Told about missing curvature.
So that's weird. In space, gas, instead of filling the available space, collapses upon each other itself to create planets and suns.
So he's taken an argument that we postulate and reverse engineered it into a postulation for how the heliocentric gravity defies the second law of thermodynamics. So he's phrasing this within heliocentrism.
Yeah.
And stars. And the light that bounces off of things in space gets brighter over distance rather than fading. So we look up at the sun, we see the sun, it's like the size of a coin held at arm's length. If you were on Jupiter, the sun would be like the size of a pencil eraser because you're so far away. So you have to believe that that little distant sun, that little sun is reflecting light.
Pause that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I am absolutely disgusted. I'm driving. I've had to interrupt. Why?
It sounds like a globe.
Paradigm. Why are you setting a paradigm up where you can travel in space to Jupiter and look back at the sun and the Earth, which are also balls in space? Why are you setting that up, mate? Why are you accepting that, presenting it as something plausible to muse over? Whether to destroy it or not, you're setting that false reality up and you're giving it to the baller. You're giving it him. Why?
Well, as Baldwin, I think he's doing a great job.
Yeah, you would think that, Owen.
It does sound like a globe, though, when he talks to these people, they always go up to the sky, don't they? About the stars and the moon and the sun. Never bring it back down to Earth. He just sounds like a glober. You're having a bit of a debate with a glober.
It's just helping you imagine how it should be and what the claim is. And in the meantime, it's all measured flat and all that. But
what's that you say, Arwin?
Imagine the space.
What's that you say, Arwin? You want to escape from the cult of Scientology? Oh, well, then imagine this. Imagine you, me, and Zeno were all sitting around, because they're all definitely real, and we're all having cakes and scones and tea. And we're discussing with Zeno. You're picturing you and me discussing this with Zeno right now? You're very much there in this paradigm of Zeno's existence, because we're going to be asking him about the DC-10s. That's what we're going to be doing. Within the paradigm, we're going to be questioning Zeno about those DC-10s. Yeah? This is helping you get away from the cult of Scientology, by the way, Arwen. This is very helpful for you to picture yourself talking to Zeno. So you can escape him. So let's picture ourselves talking to him so we can escape him.
It's getting back in the spell so you can finally break it and see it for what it is.
Of course.
Or enjoy it even more in a nostalgic way.
I mean, I'm not going to blame Dave and say that he's he is the perpetuation of the problem. You know, he's fallen victim to the rigged game, and now he's playing the rigged game, isn't he? So we can't say, oh well, Dave's nefarious. He's clearly out to muddy the waters of flat Earth by non-stop talk of heliocentrism and putting guests into the heliocentric paradigm so he can explain how heliocentrism doesn't work after they've very much imagined it. You're like, oh, Back to the don't put that fork into the electrical socket, young child. Oh, I can put the fork in the electrical socket. No, don't put the fork.
How long? How
Go on,
long
then.
you going to give him, Nathan? How long you going to give him? It's how many years, Nathan? What are we talking about? How many? We have proof now.
For what?
Why?
Proof for what?
Flat Earth, we can prove it's measured flat. We can prove the globe claims come from measurements of a flat Earth translated into a grid wrapped around a sphere that originate with a flat Earth system to make that globe. We can point those things out if we choose to. If we're in the face of adversity with an anti-flat earther in front of us. With average Joe Normie, Earth's just measured flat. That's how the system's
What does
developed.
that have to do with this video that we're reviewing?
What about it?
It has nothing to do with Earth being flat. It's all about like how the heliocentrism model is and how to imagine it, and then within the imagination point out how that's incorrect without just giving the alternative, making the whole thing superfluous.
Yes, exactly, Arwin.
Light reflecting off of the clouds of Jupiter and coming all the way back to your eyes in Australia, where you can see it as bright as the bright the sky. Here is a little experiment, a little thing I did the other day. I got up before.
What this is doing, right, just to take it into an even more absurd comparison. If I'm trying to convince you that there are invisible unicorns everywhere, that is the world we live in, and I am trying to convince you of that world, yeah? And while I'm telling you about that world, yeah, because actually I'm trying to debunk it, like Dave is doing. So I'm saying there aren't any unicorns, but what I'm doing whilst telling you that there aren't any is taking you to a world of unicorns, getting you to imagine that world of unicorns, picture yourself with the unicorn strolling around you, tell you all about unicorn digestion and how it works, but then tell you that in unicorn rhetoric, the unicorn farts smell like cherries, and farts don't smell like cherries, do they? It's all stupid. So the debunk that we get from Dave is to say all these pictures are rubbish. After taking you to the pictures and pointing out the Earth curve in them. Over and over and over again. Only to say, well, that don't make no sense, does it? Or, in this case, we're taking ourselves via Dave's journey of imagination land to a place where we're looking back at the sun from Jupiter with gas clouds in a sky vacuum, exactly as he's just described, only for him to say, well, it would be the wrong size. You know, like, that's the weakest aspect of the debunk that effectively has had 90% of what you've told me, putting me in the paradigm for only a 10% debunk that didn't really do much. So the overarching theme that you're left with is an affirmation of the heliocentric model. That's what we're left with. 90% of this just affirms the model and puts you there.
But there's something else going on there.
Well, no, hold on, Brian, before you go there, Nathan, I just wanted to point out, but how then do you explain unicorn farts smelling like cherries, Nathan?
Yeah,
that's the point, isn't it? Well, that's you do because it just is. Because look, we've just been through all the fantasticalness where we may have agreed or disagreed about unicorns, but because we've spent so long considering it, and really, if all of those unicorn things are possible, is it so far to believe that they don't smell of cherries, their farts, when everything else we've just discussed so civilly? So why would you now suddenly think they can't? It's impossible for unicorn farts to smell of cherries, which is the thing we're after to make that. But we've humoured unicorns and their farts so much, you're never going to make that definitive statement now because we've accepted the paradigm. And because we accept the paradigm, then gas can pull together because of gravity.
Correct.
Well, there's two other things going on there, though. Firstly, I've noticed with the Globebusters group is they've been trying to reposition arguments that come from FED, but reposition them in their own ways that are not actually the same as what FED says. And they're messing up the arguments, like Dave just did a while ago there with the second law of thermodynamics argument. He tried to use it in the wrong way. But something else I noticed is that Dave just said there, the other day I did an experiment, a thing I did, He's trying to stop himself from saying the word experiment.
I caught that. I caught that.
Is that called an experimenting? No. I did an experimenting the other day.
It's a Michio Kaku flub, right? Nobody in my field uses the scientific method. That's what that is. Am I right?
Yes. In that sense. And Brian's all over this, so is Nathan. This is really pathetic.
Hi, do you have any objections to unicorns fart smelling like cherries, John?
Exactly, Owen. I think it's very important that, given that we understand, given all the information I've provided about how Unicorn Land works, because we're all mentally there in Unicorn Land, and you say they should smell like cherries, well, then we should figure out why they're not smelling of cherries. Let's figure this out together in Unicorn Land. No. We're not in Unicorn Land. No, it seems like we've got a lot of information on Unicorn Land, and conceptually I'm right there with you in Unicorn Land, and we've got to figure out why these farts don't smell like cherries. This is a very big concern, given all the information about Unicorn Land that we've got so far.
Nathan, if we're going to figure that out, we have to first establish how many stomachs a unicorn has.
Exactly. Right? I need to know 10 times more than next man about how Unicorn Land does work, because I'm proposing that we debunk it with this.
They chew the
trouble is, when you've got gas in a vacuum, and you've also got warping of space-time, then what happens? Sorry.
4 o'clock in the morning, and I saw Venus, which is right here. So here's the Earth, here's our moon, here's Venus, and here's the sun, right? Not to scale, of course. So if the sun's over there and I'm right on the crest of this ball, that would be early morning. So turn off the lights. I have the light on. So I'm right here, just in the dark. Sun's just about to come up. It's still below my horizon because I'm over the ball. And I have a crescent moon, and I should have a crescent Venus, because the sun is on the other side. This side of Venus that's facing me. So here's the moon. And then when I zoom out, you'll see where now I'm looking east and the sun is over there. And then over here, you're going to see Venus, and I'm going to zoom in on Venus. Here's Venus. And when I zoom in on Venus, you tell me if this is a gassy, rocky planet reflecting sunlight.
We can't see it.
Does that look like something reflecting sunlight, or is that?
Having me on, it's a star. It's Venus. Have you never seen Venus? He's showing Venus. What do you want? You want me to show you a shiny dot? Picture a shiny dot.
What I'm saying is he showing that 2015 like light, like it morphing and stuff?
No.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's talking about Nathan. He's showing like the model, right? Not the scale. So he's really assisting us again in how to imagine the globe Earth model.
Yes.
And he's not once mentioned geometry or how physical Earth curve is measured. So bloody lights in the sky, as per usual, as per Globus.
Why would he do that? We talk about that here. He's not going to do that.
He also mentioned horizon. So I guess the question to Dave would be, is there horizons on a globetard?
Only horizontal ones.
Furthermore, the horizon in terms of what it does, what it's useful for, how we practically apply it to our general day-to-day life in navigation, in building, establishes Earth as a horizontal plane of reference. That's what it's useful for. But meanwhile, we're talking about the crescent shapes on Dave's table when he shines a light and creates a representation of the heliocentric model. That's what we've got. Questions about the heliocentric model. So at the end of this process, all we've got is questions about how the heliocentric model should work, but doesn't according to Dave. So you're going to go off and find how it does work and how Dave's wrong. It's never going to leave you with any fundamental premise that Earth's flat. Just out, this is how Dave says the globe doesn't work, or how it's silly.
No, it's going to leave you in a neutral position.
Yeah, basically.
That's what they want.
Neutral.
Yeah, it's just basically just pointing out how ridiculous the heliocentric model is, but he's not offering anything else up to prove that we live on a flat stationary plane.
Should be the primary objective,
Great
right?
job, Dave.
That should be the primary objective here.
Yep.
This guy calls himself Flat Earth Dave, does he not? Should call himself Heliocentric Dave.
He does now.
Or call himself Beginner Dave.
Beginner what? He's not begin to tell people that Earth's flat yet. He said there's missing curvature. The closest he's come to alluding that Earth is flat is by saying that the curvature that should be there, according to him, is missing. So it not only should be there, we need to find this missing curvature, by Dave's phraseology, because it's missing. Let's find it, quick. No,
I
Earth's
meant the
measured flat.
beginner and the topic.
Oh, this is the head honcho as far as the guy who's listening to him is concerned, right?
I'm not claiming to know what it is. I think planets, wandering stars, and stars are sentient. But that's me. I think it's all part of human.
What about the ground, Dave? How's that bloody measured?
But they're sentient, though. This is very important information for a flat earther.
I don't know what they are, but they're sentient.
Yeah. And I'm sure you based that on a personal experience that's really repeatable and everything.
He prefaced it by saying, I think.
Oh, did he say I think? I didn't hear the think part.
Yeah, he did. I think.
Okay.
Sorry, do we know what sentient means? I do know. I'm just asking if you do.
Feeling, it's like...
Yeah.
Feeling.
Able to perceive feelings. Yes. So the stars that Dave doesn't know, he's now declared to this guy and his audience that the stars have a capability of perceiving feelings.
I hope they're not social justice warriors.
I don't know. Like I say earlier, I was like, it's not Dave's fault that he's been led down this path. But the path that he's come down is a conspiratard path. So it's not foreign or alien or in any way uncomfortable for Dave to say in one breath, I don't know what something is, and then declare that it's got feelings. I don't know what that is, but it's definitely got feelings. It just seems like, is he here to get us mocked? People laugh at us and you go, why are they laughing at us just because we know Earth's flat? No, they're laughing at us because the people that they think we are, by stereotype, ascribe feelings to stars. Okay? That's what we've got to contend with. It's a freaking outrage.
Don't be mean, Nathan. Don't you downplay the feelings of stars. Yeah, if they have feelings, then those feelings can get hurt. Don't be mean.
You're falsely attributing a false claim to him.
Falsely attributing a false claim to him. That makes no sense. That's a double negative.
Yes. Well, I'm going to tell you how it makes sense. It's not the stars have feelings. They can perceive feelings. Not that the stars have feelings. Pay attention.
To perceive feelings, you would also in turn have to be sentient to have a perception of others' feelings.
You would also have to have feelings to perceive feelings?
Yes. Psychopaths don't perceive them. They
to say you perceive sentience is to directly infer sentience, is what I'm suggesting. So if you say the stars can perceive sentience, so the stars can perceive people's feelings and emotions, well, therefore they must have sentience of their own in order to capably process the feelings and emotions that they recognize in others. What?
Correct. Well, that's how that works, yeah. You got to have feelings to understand feelings in others.
I don't think so, but we can move on.
Okay, it's a good job Dave brought it up because we can debate this at length rather than pointing out how Earth's measured flat. We can debate how sentient the stars are. Worthy.
You can disprove that stars have feelings, okay? So
how sentient? So is there a sliding scale for sentience?
They're a little bit sentient.
Not sentience like in a half sleep state where you're partially aware and then the sentience is lessened to being a full-on aware in which the sentience is typically amplified as are all your senses in emergencies.
Oh, brother.
It's a fractional scale. Full sentience
around
is
that they're fallen angels.
full sentience is 1, and anything below that is a 0.0 version of that. So, you know, if you're partially sentient, you're at, you know, 0.001 sentience.
Okay. Can we move on? Let's see where it goes.
I think this is, I mean, we're flat earthers. Do we not bow and worship at the altar of Dave Weiss and his worthy points of discussion? Why aren't we discussing this non-stop? The stars could be... At the moment, it's getting dark, and I'm slightly concerned that my het-up attitude is being perceived by the frickin' stars above me. I mean, we need to address this.
We need to address his flat earther argument, right? He finally brought a argument that's not based on heliocentrism. It's about feelings of stars. We'll discuss it now.
We already did. Move
Stars feel we should move on.
In consciousness.
All right.
Yeah.
You said we should move on. No, you mean you want to continue? I'll make a cup of coffee. You guys are very het up and enthusiastic. At least 3 minutes worth.
Pull a J. Let's hear the whole thing.
I just want to know if he did the Rorschach test on the stars.
Something reflecting sunlight, or is that something else? I'm not claiming to know what it is. I think planets, wandering stars, and stars are sentient. But that's me. I think that's all part of human consciousness.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said planets are wandering stars.
Hold on. Then in that implication, the stars are part of human consciousness, and that's how they have feelings. Oh, wait, no. Then that would mean the stars would not have feelings. It's you as a human having sentience, projecting your sentience on the stars. That's what's actually happening, Dave. Very tough, right, to figure that out?
He's a superstar, Dave.
Superstar. Super chat. Supermodel.
Superfluid.
I just want to see him apply the Rorschach test to a star.
Arnold Rorschach?
It's a test to like figure out if something is conscious.
He could have mentioned how stars. He could have mentioned how stars are used in celestial navigation. He could have just sort of rolled onto that one quite easily.
Oh boy, would that have been a miracle?
Somebody getting coffee?
Listen, they're going to go out of their way, like Brian said, to not speak about anything that we speak about here. Even a deafening blow like gas pressure without containment, they're going to convolute it. We've seen Witcher do it, and now this jerk-off do it.
Stop it, Neil, or you're going to hurt some celestial body's feelings.
Indeed. So I was getting coffee. For the love of
Is he
David
getting
Weiss.
around that they're fallen angels? Is that what he's trying to say?
Don't go there, Neil. He's not.
He's talking about the Nephilim, isn't he, Neil?
Oh, brother.
Hold on,
Let's let him speak. He'll tell you.
Well, we can have a little seance and ask Rob Skeever.
Oh, boy.
That's terrible, Nathan.
Oh, more terrible than the stars have feelings.
From the
All right,
ground up.
Gravity. Gravity.
Yeah. So let's explain that, because there's going to be people here, Dave, that are just like, already they're probably just switched off. They're just like, Adrian's definitely fucking lost his mind now because he's gone too far. But
I have a challenge for them.
Go for it.
I'm offering 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. I normally make you watch the videos on my app, but feel free to send me your globe proof after this. Info@theflatearthpodcast.com.
I'll give you 50 euros, Dave, if you can
wait.
start have
Hold on a
feelings.
second.
How old is this video?
Was refracted curvature inquiring as to whether or not that's still the case? Well, it is.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Who's he got protecting it?
Dave.
Him.
Oh my God! Let's go get that money.
All you got to do is climb a tree.
What did he exactly say? Can you go ahead and pull a J on that? I want to hear that again.
Bitcoins for one globe proof. I normally make you watch the videos on my app, but feel free to send me your globe proof after this. info@theflatearthpodcast.com. Be concise. Tell me what your globe proof is, and you win 3 Bitcoins. Make sure you include your Bitcoin address. But I'm telling you, you're not going to find any because the Earth is not a globe. So let's think about gravity for a second. So the sun, made out of helium and hydrogen, which somehow collapses upon itself and creates gravity.
Excuse me.
That's how you're starting gravity?
Just
Jesus.
Straight after the Earth's not a globe, let's talk about gravity.
Yeah, that was my point. On what planet do we just say you're not going to get anything, then go to the key fundamental thing, which would why things turn into balls in a vacuum of space, the force that's not a force, gravity. Why do you keep going to their fantasy world for them?
On one day.
Yeah, that was a great opportunity. Great opportunity then to just say why the Earth's not a globe, and how it's measured, and how it's observed. But no, let's talk about gravity.
It seems like Dave is just trying to address any baller typical questions that he expects people to have. So it almost seems like he's talking more to the baller audience than to the general audience in that sense. He's always just addressing things that he thinks ballers are going to be asking. That's what I see happening.
Yes, Baldwin.
That's not Baldwin.
It's almost like he's trying to construct the argument he wants to have. So he gives the baller the ball arguments that he wants to disprove, I suppose. Is that why he's being so generous? Because I can't think of any other reason why a flat earther keeps going to ball rhetoric and then not destroying it, just reaffirming what they believe for him.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's weird. And you have all of these planets, not to scale, right? Asteroid belt, and you got all the way out. And if you ever looked at a scale model, some guys did it in the Arizona desert.
Yeah. It's the language. Yeah. It's literally the language that he's using is positive affirmation in every single thing with regards to the heliocentric model. There are, it's to scale. Like I said, at what point do I now give up the ball? I've just had a lovely cozy chat with you. You telling me everything I thought I believed is actually correct. That is how the ball works. You've just confirmed every bit for me, Dave. And if I was unsure, then you've just reiterated it. So I've got a full ball understanding now. Why do I want to get off this ball again?
Where they had a sun, which was like 30 feet tall, they blew up like a bouncy house. And the planets were like a mile away and the size of a tennis ball. You know, the Earth was just like so far away you couldn't even see it. And so the sun is holding on with its gravity to all of these planets, all of the planets. And the planets hold on to their own moons. So this is a solar eclipse. And they tell us that the moon is blocking the sun. So if I'm the Earth, I'm looking at the sun.
So literally that little in-between bit where he told us how we are in orbital motion with an example behind him of an orbital motion and a heliocentric world wasn't concluded with any words that decried that whatsoever. Now we're moving on to eclipses and him describing in heliocentric terminology. I could trim that out as a short and arguably post that Dave has converted back to Globehead. Because that little clip had nothing but Dave punting globe rhetoric. Zero flat earth information, literally zero. And an affirmation of globe rhetoric. Nothing more. Did anybody see the Russian?
If you were a roping baller,
say again.
Well, if you're a bit dodgy on your knowledge, good chat with Dave. You're going to be genned up on ball 101 now, aren't you? So when he does give you the chance, you've already been given the answer, the rhetoric, the ball rhetoric to rebut your thing. Why gas agglomerates in the vacuum of space? Gravity. They've just reaffirmed it, just so in case I weren't sure, just to let me know that is my excuse.
Here's the moon, then the sun. So the sun is holding the Earth, holding Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, Neptune, all the planets, but it's ignoring the moon. If this was the moon's in between me and the sun. How come the sun doesn't hold on to the moon? Well, the moon is closer to the Earth, Dave, and it negates the sun's gravity. Oh, cool. So gravity is selective. The sun can hold on to all of the other planets, but it only it ignores moons, right?
Right. Can I have a go at that, Nathan? So Dave says that to me, and I go, yeah, that's exactly how it works in the heliocentric model. Thanks.
But Dave, is that really how it works?
Yeah, you've just outlined it for me, Dave. Thanks very much. I was a bit scared, unsure exactly, but you are. It's that kind of selectivity and the balance between this force, that force, as we hurtle through space, that balances it all out. Thanks for reminding me.
Well, it's good the way David keeps on addressing a gravity that is out of date with the heliocentric rhetoric and not defining what he means when he says gravity, or bringing into his nonsense that it's actually out of date by 108 years. Not doing any of that. Just keeps on telling people about what gravity does and how it does it constantly.
You don't need to know what type, how it is, right? All you need to know is it's just resolved the issues that's just been outlined by Dave that you thought were issues, but he did give you the answer in the end. All that's aligned because of the force of gravity.
Everything he's talking about requires a globe, which is measured flat.
Yeah, but I've not been shown that. Why would I get off my ball right now? I'm happy. You've just reaffirmed everything for me, given me a little story, and I'm happy to stay here.
It's the dumbest crap ever. If you can't figure it out, you're smart because it can't be figured out because it's the dumbest crap ever. So,
see, that's just ad hom.
So heliocentric rhetoric, here's how it works, here's how it works, but it's dumb. Moving on.
He makes us look bad.
We all know it's dumb.
It's no rebuttal, that, is it? It's no way to present your argument. That's what they say about us. Yeah? Just stupid. Don't know if it... Well, if all you've done is outline in great detail how their model works to their understanding with all its apologetics outlined by yourself, and all you then do is go, it's dumb. Surely, actually, hearing that if you're a baller, just a normie, you've just had everything reaffirmed because the flat earthers just outlined everything. You've nodded all the way along, and then his only thing is it's dumb. So why would you agree with him?
Maybe that's why they call us dumb flat earthers, because of his dumb ass.
Well, no, but that's the point, isn't it? That's the critique we would give to anti-flat earthers ballers when that was the offering we got. Well, it's just stupid, flat earth. It's an antiquated thing. And we comment and say, well, it's not a reasonable rebuttal, is it? Why? But we've just presented the same rebuttal to the ball earther, having outlined it and made it sound quite sciencey and, yeah, as far as they're concerned, and then we rebut with, it's just dumb.
Yeah, we sound like them now. I got you.
So we're crazy because we say, this is down, right? We're crazy because we say this is down. Down is down for everybody. In Australia, South America, it's just down.
Wow, clouds, Dave. Clouds just down.
It's advanced 2015 arguments, man.
I'm afraid where he's going to go with this. Press play.
Don't be getting
down is down,
Dave.
but on a ball, we're spinning and whirling and twirling, and down is everyone's feet are pointing down towards each other, sideways, which is just complete and total insanity. So, do you know about the three-body problem?
No.
The three-body problem is this. In a supercomputer.
I am.
That's worth explaining that point instead of running off to the three-body problem. Who would have done it, wouldn't it? But again, we've not disseminated any information to the newbie other than reiteration of the ball rhetoric and a blanket statement that this is a bit thick otherwise, if you believe what I've just succinctly outlined for you. Now, on to the three-body problem.
And don't forget, everything goes down.
Yeah, even his assertion that had a flat Earth picture with everything going down towards it was wrong. Like, the down is down, except for clouds.
You can.
It just reminds me of sorry, man.
Go on.
I'm just saying, like, it reminds me of like when I first got into this. You don't really, it's all stupid and it doesn't make sense, but you don't know why, and you can't explain to anybody why until I've met you guys and learned loads on here, and then you learn stuff and you can explain it. He still seems like very, very sort of old school, even to me.
2015.
Yeah.
Two bodies, a sun and a moon, or a sun and a planet, and you can figure out what they're going to do forever. But you put three or more bodies in there, and it goes into chaos mode, and no supercomputer can figure out what three bodies are going to do, let alone four, let alone five. These are three bodies all the same size. Try making them different sizes. No computer can figure out what it's going to do. The gravitational model is chaos.
Yeah, that's only pseudo-Riemannian force space, though, because Newtonian model can definitely have multiple bodies. That's why they use that system to basically model the solar system, right? So is no,
that's incorrect. The three-body problem's related to Newtonian mechanics, also.
What?
General relativity, they have a one-body problem.
Hold on, one body. Hold on.
One body of attraction,
in general
right?
relativity, it was a two-body problem. You can't describe.
Two, that's what I said.
Hold on.
Right.
Just get this out. My understanding was that you could only describe one mass with that system. Therefore, it would be, if you're going to describe it as a problem, a two-body, three, however many he just listed. But that's starting at one mass, one body. Whereas, as QE is just correct, the three-body problem is a Newtonian problem.
Yes.
Yeah, but he was even more correct when he said a one-body problem, because they don't have that definition for mass. And how can they have a two-body problem when there is no such thing as two bodies in general relativity? It's impossible to have that problem in general relativity.
But the problem with, is it Einstein's field equations in regards to this, is that you can't calculate the influence of one mass over another. You can only calculate it for the one mass, regardless of whether or not you have a proper definition of mass. So I can't say that, notwithstanding what Brian just said, because he's 100% correct. But he's being quite specific, in fact, hyper-specific about what he's detailing when he says the, quote, three-body problem, right?
Yeah. So Newton's is the three-body problem, and just to summarize, Newtonian is three-body problem, Einstein is the two-body problem.
Perfect. That's how I understood it. So when you said one-body, he's got a one-body problem, I'm like, whoa. I thought that's all that they could calculate, and that's why it's a two-body problem. But that is correct. Okay, let's move on.
But somehow our sky is a perfect clock. Go out tonight, take a picture of the stars, put a note in your calendar to take that same picture next year, same night, same time, and every star will be in the exact same place. So
did he just say that the star would be in the same place the next year? That's incorrect. If that was the case, we wouldn't need a freaking almanac.
You just need one list for all the time. There'd be such thing as precession. There would be no changing of the equinox. We wouldn't know whether we're coming into the age of Aquarius or not, would we?
Nope.
It would have been the same as last week and the year before and at the birth of Christ.
Correct.
Okay. This is basic stuff. Why doesn't he know this? Why is he asserting that it's like a perfect clock that resets at the end of the year? I don't understand why he would assert that.
Here's the question. When I drop this, why does it go down?
Releases helium balloon, looks up at clouds.
I was going to go with electrostatics.
He's going to get there.
First answer is it's more dense than the air around it. Okay. Well, why doesn't it go sideways?
Say again. One more time.
It's the ether, Dave. Come on.
He's doing the rumpus. Why doesn't it go sideways?
Let's
That's
see what he
easily
said.
going there.
Right. So in answer to the question, why does this item described adequately as being more dense than the air that it's in not go sideways? I see.
And so that's a little bit of an argument inside of the flat Earth community. People are trying to figure it out because here's something you can never test.
Let me figure it out for you, Dave. The direction is not relative. Yeah, it's the relation between the medium and the object, not the direction that is relative.
Fingers in the entire Earth.
When it's described as an argument within the flat Earth community, I don't think that's totally truthful. There is disagreement in the flat Earth community between those that have come off a ball, having realized the acceptance of non-evidence is no way to define a paradigm. Yet there seems to be a certain section of the flat earthers who give themselves and reaffirm a paradigm because they feel lost without it, have had to invent one using the same standards that got us on a ball. That's the disagreement, Dave, that you've dropped your standards, a certain section of the community, and they're pumping nonsense, stuff that's less validatable than the ball that you're attacking. But for some reason, they're destroying their own credibility and their own message by pumping another religious faith.
Well said, Adam. Well said.
Earth disappeared and I let go of this ball, which way is down? Could go that way, could go that way, right? Which way is down? Down is towards the Earth. Down is the ground. And why is that? Well, our ground is testably, measurably, it has a neutral or negative charge. However,
testably,
a
measurably,
neutral or negative.
Hold on. Testably, measurably.
Same he didn't say flat.
I'm getting rumpus. Testably, measurably flat. But rather than saying that, he paused and then moved into incoherent dielectric accelerative forces and biases downwards, rather than just saying flat in the only opportunity that he has opened up for himself to do so. So rather than flat, incoherent dielectric accelerative downward bias. My God.
Told you, give him time. He'll get there.
you want to term it, and everything above the ground is in a positive charge. The sky is positively charged. So anything above the ground is positively charged, and it will go down.
So clouds, Dave, clouds.
Negative ions?
Water vapor, air. It's all going down, right? It's just total nonsense.
Here's an example of that. We got some leftover party balloons. We got a little button here taped onto the end of this wire. This wire goes to a Van de Graaff generator, and we can add a positive charge to this. So watch, we're going to add a positive charge. And what happens? It goes down. Now, did we make it heavier, or did we just change the electrostatic charge? Discharge it, and it goes back up. Okay? So that's interesting. Let's try the opposite.
Proving what? What
I mean, that was a perfect opportunity to use a helium balloon.
He's proven a downward vector, Nathan.
He proved that it presupposed that it is all caused by electrostatics and not density, even though he already mentioned that earlier.
We have this tinfoil triangle. We put a negative charge into it, it goes up. If we put a negative charge into it and keep it in there, keep it negative charge, don't let the air take it over, it'll just stay in the air indefinitely. It's using electrostatics.
Okay.
Oh, the Earth must be flat then.
So what does that have to do with anything?
Electrostatics. Here is, this is from MIT just recently. This is the silent drone, no moving parts. They say it's using ionic wind. They're just changing the electric potential of this and it flies. What if you had a way to pull that electricity out of the air and you never needed to add batteries to this? It could just fly forever. Think about what that would do. What difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday? Actually, maybe you don't if we have access to real technology. So we're changing electrostatics. Now,
are you?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard him say.
They say in the science, the ones that hijack the word science, the professionals that identify as science, they say that gravity is a weak force. Okay, how weak? Well, they say who
are they, and why are they saying this, and why are you discussing it as a flat earther? Why are you putting this to the guy about what science says in terms of gravity? This isn't his claim to be making. This has been literally now 95% postulation of globe faith.
Soul destroying.
I don't know, I've had enough about this. About you guys. Maybe continue with this tomorrow if we see fit. Yeah, Nathan.
Don't you hear the rest of electrostatics?
Yeah, he's proven electrostatics.
Any further comments? I'm going to round up.
The Earth must be a Van de Graaff generator.
Flat Earth Dave.
That's what I was thinking.
Shouldn't he be proving a flat Earth?
Maybe it's a spitting core. That's the Van de Graaff generator causing that.
Maybe. Right, with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And, of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams. Hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!